Hello, everybody out there in YouTube land, and welcome to DC Fans United. So, I've got a cool crew of people here with us tonight. We're going to be talking about our favorite graphic novels. So, it's a really fun topic, and I figured it's one a lot of people would, be able to relate to and have their own ideas about. So definitely join us in the chat if you have any questions or if you want to talk about your favorite books. So we're going to go ahead and go through who all we have here. Let's see. For me, I'm going right to left. So I'm going to start out with THO. How you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good.
Cool. Glad to have you back again.
Hey,
Oh,
glad to
man.
be back.
We always have to bother you about this. Have you started a YouTube channel yet?
Unfortunately, not yet. I'm still trying to find a program to make it work, but one that doesn't require me to pay like $50 a month or something like that.
Right? Yeah, okay. Cool. And then we've got Nerdette. She's back.
Yes, thank you for having me back. I'm glad to be on.
That's awesome. I'm glad you could make it.
Me too.
Sweet. And then we've got Martin the Collector, who's a good friend of mine. Been talking to him on Facebook for quite a while. How you doing, Martin?
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Such a pleasure to be here.
Cool. Thanks, man. And once again, it wouldn't be a live stream without Larry King. How you doing, Larry?
I'm doing horrible, man, but nobody really cares. I don't know who to talk to. It's like, can this be a therapy stream? I just need a hug, Mugs.
Oh, man.
I'm doing great.
Poor
man.
Larry. I hope you feel better by the end.
It's all lies.
Lies and deception. Okay. Hey, we got Kale. How you doing, Kale?
What's up, everybody? I'm not sure I'm acquainted with the most of you, but by the end of this, you will either love me or hate me. So we will see how that goes.
Oh, nice. Just like with Larry, everyone either loves him or hates him. There's no like middle ground.
Looking nice dude, but that daggone watching video, I had to cut it off, man. It was unfun.
Oh, we'll get into that.
Well, no worries.
All
Don't
right.
worry about
Yeah.
that.
Cool.
Don't worry, but that's
I'm
like
already
a whole
liking
other
this.
topic. Okay, and then we got Bob, right? And you go by Brainiac 420 on Twitter and all that.
Brainiac 420 on Twitter.
Cool, and you got a YouTube channel.
Yep, a nerd in over 30.
Nice. Cool. Well, I'm glad you were able to make it.
Anytime, man.
Sweet. So, I guess we'll just keep it simple and start off with, it doesn't have to be your favorite graphic novel, but one that you'd really like to talk about, and ideally your favorite. So just start us off, THO, what do you have in mind?
Well, I think Larry probably already knows the answer to this one because I've talked about it like multiple times. But my favorite would have to be Batman the Cult. That book is by far one of my favorite Batman books of all time.
Batman,
it's the one about that
Monster
introduced
Truck.
Deacon Blackfire, and it's basically the
You
one
saw
that
it right
introduced
there.
Deacon Blackfire and the concept of Batman. You know how Bane broke Batman's back? Well, this book shows what happens when a man breaks a man's spirit, because the things they did to him in that book, damn, it was rough.
Yeah. Sweet. Is there anything else you want to say about it? I mean, why do you like it so much? I mean,
it's one of my favorite things about the book is actually portrayed Jason Todd as a likable Robin, which I know was pretty hard to do back then in the 80s because, everybody hated Robin, Jason Todd at least. And probably one of my favorite things is how over the top it was. Like the scenes where he had Batman tripping out of his mind, like in the sewer surrounded with all the dead bodies, and seeing his parents come back from the grave in one of his dreams. But my favorite part about it would have to be the monster truck, the Bat monster truck. It's basically the Batmobile on top of like these huge ass tires, just mowing down people with rubber bullets and gas cans, you name it.
sounds kind of like the thing he had in Dark Knight Returns, especially with the rubber bullets.
Yeah, I think it's a bit like, well, the thing in Dark Knight Returns, that was a tank. I'm talking about like a literal, It literally looks like a monster truck if you
Yeah?
look at it.
Gravedigger, Bigfoot, Sunday, Sunday, Sunday. The Batmobile is rolling down in the Gotham sewers.
Yeah, basically that's what it was. It was just rolling down the Gotham sewers.
Killer Croc needs a Killer Croc mobile. You know, like the giant Killer Croc monster truck
that'd be
with the
freaking
alligator like backing. You know.
That would be amazing.
Oh my god.
You know, more of these guys need vehicles. Like, is there even a Joker mobile or anything
I
like
think
that?
there was. I know they had one in Arkham Knight.
Arkham Knight.
one of
Oh
the
man,
sequences.
they overdid
What-
it. Okay, never mind. We don't need more vehicles. Once you said Arkham Knight, I was just like, oh god, no. You got Deathstroke in a tank. Everyone's got a tank. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
but
no,
that's
man.
such a good game.
It's a good. It's a good game if you just take out the cars. The car.
No,
Flash.
that's my favorite part. I was so
The
good at that.
Ending.
The Riddler. Hey, Riddler's dug underneath Gotham to do like these racetrack puzzles, and you got to find like 200 plus off over 3 islands.
Yeah,
And
but
then-
the sad part is I actually did. I took the time and I found every single one of those
Couldn't do
Riddler trophies. I did, and I beat
I-
that whole damn game 100 and whatever percent. Yeah.
And the way they did Deathstroke, though, you can't forgive them. I can't forgive them for that.
Yeah, okay.
That's actually impressive, though, getting all the Riddler trophies. That must
It
have-
took me a long time. I had to have my nephew beat the Deathstroke battle. I'm not gonna lie about that, but I did the rest myself.
There's no shame in having your nephew help. That's
Yeah.
cool. You got to get them involved too.
All right, back to the graphic novels though. But I think what
Sorry.
makes the cult, sorry, I think what makes the cult so great was because it inspired a lot of future Batman stuff. Like the how Bane controlled the people, the homeless people in the sewers in Dark Knight Rises. That was actually inspired from the cult, as well as the Commissioner Gordon hospital scene, like when he gets gunned down and put in the hospital.
Wow.
Yeah, so I think it's a pretty influential Batman book that doesn't get enough
Yeah.
praise, in my opinion, compared to like Year One, Dark Knight Returns, and Arkham Asylum, A Serious House on Serious Earth. It's definitely up there, in my opinion, as one of the best Batman books.
That's really cool, especially for your top choice. You know, I haven't actually read that, but I'm definitely going to now.
Yeah, it's written by Jim Starlin, the Thanos creator, basically the creator
Wow.
of the entire Marvel cosmic side. Really, the art is kind of on the trippy side. Like Batman has like giant ears, like those old Mike Deodato Jr. Batman ears, the really long ones.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he has that, and there's like lots of trippy scenes in the book because for the most part Batman's drugged, so it's out there. Let's just say like the first 2 free parts of the book, and the fourth one is basically basic Batman tale at that point.
Cool. Who does the art on it?
Let me look it up right now. I have the book somewhere. I just have to
I think
go
it's
from the
Bernie
spot.
Wrightson
It's
who does the art on it.
yeah, I think you're
That's
right. Let's see.
awesome.
Ryan.
Yeah, Martin.
Yeah.
Martin knows. He's read pretty much everything.
I am crazy about Batman. Sorry, y'all.
Yep, it's Bernie
Yeah, on my
Wrightson.
list I have-
That's correct.
It's a good thing.
On my list, I have a lot of Batman books, so I hope nobody gets bored.
All right, no
No,
problem.
DC channel. You know, we can't have too much Batman.
Yeah.
So, any more on that, THO, or?
Any more on the cult? No, that's pretty much basically all I can. Basically, the entire shtick. That's all, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did Martin? Did you want to talk about it at all? It sounds like you've probably read it.
All right.
No. How about anyone else? Have you guys checked out the cult? Have anything you want to say about it?
Because
Nope.
of THO, he recommended it. I checked it out, and it was actually a really fun read. And it's like because of the monster truck thing, weird things will get me interested in a book. I'm like, okay, the Dark Knight Rises influences, clearly that's in there. The monster truck is kind of what got me to see it because I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot. Because and I can thank Arkham Knight because Deacon. He's in there. He's actually going to kill Jack Ryder, sacrifice Creeper. The Creeper doesn't show up in the game, unfortunately, but inspired me to pick it up. Read it, fun story. Probably not my favorite because but it'd be up there. It definitely be up there. It'd be but it's really fun story, really well done, and it's just like one of the few non-cosmic Jim Starlin books out there, because everything seems to be cosmic themed in some regard.
Yeah.
So, yeah, good
I
choice,
thought
man.
my favorite part was the little note he had about basically artistic freedom, which I definitely loved.
Yeah, that's one of those things. Like Jim Starlin, he gets batted around a little too often, especially like over at Marvel, like last year, what happened to him. But yeah, this kind of stuff, I kind of wish he'd go and do more stuff like the cult, not theme wise, but less cosmic inspired.
That'd be interesting to see what he does now.
Stuff.
So, Nerdette, what book did you have in mind?
Oh my gosh, there's so many. I guess it depends on just one. Death in the Family.
Oh, okay.
That's my. I mean, I was really young, but that was my absolute favorite. Just the whole storyline. I mean, and them asking, if wanted Jason killed off or not. And I think that's kind of why I've always liked Jason Todd so much, because that's what I grew up on. It was just such a good story. I mean, brutal story, but just so well done.
Yeah. Cool. So is that your favorite pretty much?
Oh yeah, that, and I mean a Killing Joke too, but between those two, even there's so many. All-Star Superman, that's a really good one.
Oh yeah.
Red Sun. But yeah, that's definitely my favorite.
Cool. Anybody else? Haven't heard from you, Bob, in a bit. Did you want to talk about that one too, or any thoughts on it?
Well, it's one of those, I haven't read it. It's unfortunately one of the few that I'm like, y'all are touching on all the ones I haven't read.
Oh man, there's so much to read though. Like that, was it Batman the Cult? I'm going to read that now. So.
Oh yeah, me too.
Unless you're Martin, it's hard to have read everything. So cool. Death in the Family. That's a solid choice. We'll probably come back to some of your other picks too. You listed like 4 there, so
I know. It's hard to pick this one. It really is.
Oh, well, absolutely. We'll get a few choices. We just gotta take them one at a time. But those are some good picks. So Martin, what would you like to talk about first?
Well, I want to talk about, Frank Miller's Batman and Robin. All Star. I think it's the best book ever.
Really?
I think I smell toast. I think I'm having a stroke right now. What?
That was such a deadpan delivery too. Like I honestly believed you. I was like, really?
Martin's the goddamn Batman, ladies and gentlemen, confirmed.
Right?
I'm the goddamn Batman.
That's awesome.
I'm surprised in All-Star Batman and Robin, Frank Miller didn't have somebody piss on themselves, because the yellow pee would be like a beat up Green Lantern. Just like use a jar of homeless pee, just throw it at Green Lantern.
That's brilliant.
He could stop the jar, but he can't stop the pee inside. Oh no! Oh, I'm just giving Frank Miller ideas. Oh God, you owe me, Frank.
Yeah, he'll do it. So, what's your real pick, Martin?
Hello.
Crickets. We're scared of
Oh, you still there?
Cricket.
He was actually telling the truth.
Yeah. And then had to play it off.
Everybody likes. But everybody talks about Watchmen,
Oh yeah.
So. But I'm gonna start off with All-Star Superman. I know. I know it was already mentioned, and I think that story is just. I think that story is wonderful because it's like it's basically like an Elseworld story. You have Grant Morrison and Frank Quitely at the top of their game. Although I must say that the first time I read it, I wasn't really crazy about the art, so it took me like a while. It wasn't until like halfway through the story when I was like, "Yo, this is a pretty good. This story is amazing." So yeah. So I don't know if we should just spoil the stories or But yeah,
I
that's
mean, yeah.
definitely one of my favorites.
You can say anything you want about it. You're the guy who told me to read it, and you were absolutely right. It's really, in my opinion, it encapsulates a lot about. It's so distracting hearing my own voice with the echo. But yeah, you told me to read it, and you're absolutely right. Even though it's an Elseworld story, to me, it's like the perfect Superman. I know he's a little OP, but I really like that about Superman sometimes. Like, I think I'm the polar opposite of Larry on the power scaling for Superman. You kind of like him to be scaled down, right?
Fleischer, yes, Fleischer, Superman animated series, that kind of level. Not the point where, hey, the marketing says, the marketing and toy people say we got to put him in a spacesuit, so we sell the spacesuit Superman toys. That not that kind of depowered, but to the point where if he wanted to talk in space, he'd have to take the little oxygen mask communicator thing. But yeah, I like him.
As much as I love the animated series, that's probably the weakest Superman ever got, right? Like, he needs a spacesuit. Like,
the Fleischer's weaker than that because he's like acting like bullets hurt him, and electricity kind of hinders him too. So
those were from the 1940s, though. Yeah. I mean, that was probably the canon.
And Superman got beat around a lot in the animated series. Like, got to the point that even Sinestro beat the crap out of him. Like, just easily.
Well, Sinestro is Yellow Power Ring, man. That thing it ain't necessarily willpower like the Green Lantern ring, but you're still dealing with a lot of power and a lot of concentrated power. Thought form. Yeah. It's a thought form manifested in reality. So that's that. Sinestro. The dude was the greatest Green Lantern until Hal Jordan showed up, or in that universe, Kyle Rayner.
I think it's basically that episode that made me realize how awesome Sinestro was as like a villain. Because I watched the Super Friends for that, and then they showed him off in the animated. So it's like, damn, Sinestro's actually scary.
Yeah, so Sinestro's no joke for sure. So, anyone else want to weigh in on All-Star Superman? It's definitely one of my top 10.
It's got one of those real I ain't crying, you're crying moments. With Pa Kent, with the mystery Superman from the question mark.
Oh yeah.
It's like because it's so many forms of media. It's like you look at Lost and even the new Star Trek films and stuff. It's all about daddy issues. Like, my daddy wasn't around. Daddy divorced mommy. Mommy raised me by herself. Boo, hoo, hoo, hoo. And this is a story about a father and son. And son was doing what we had to do. He had to fight and save the day, but he missed out on saving his father. And he got kind of the second chance. It's like that kind of the Field of Dreams thing. It's like, damn it. Like that kind of thing. Make you... the feels, as the internet kids say today, the feels.
It wasn't even like a second chance to save him, wasn't it? Just a second chance to say goodbye.
Well, it's like
so that was, and that was such a unique. I mean, it wasn't even like a villain, but like, what is it, the Chronovore
who eats time?
Chronovore,
yeah, and the sentient sun and all that. These Grant Morrison concepts that work because that's like, hey, Grant Morrison when he's at his best, and then you see like the multiversity stuff, which I try to get into, and it's just too Grant Morrison-y for my liking. And I used to like Grant Morrison stuff, and I got really tired of it really quick. So
he's hit or miss. When he's on his game, it's some of the best stuff ever. Like All-Star Superman's so good.
Yeah, definitely, I agree with that fully.
Anyone else thoughts on All-Star?
It's probably my favorite scene. Oh, there you go.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. I think one of my favorite scenes about All-Star Superman is like it wasn't even that big of a scene. It was like maybe for like a couple of panels, but when the little girl's ready to jump off the building and Superman comes in and tells her that everything's gonna be all right and that her doctor really did miss the call. I think that symbolized Superman so well because at that moment she was completely hopeless, but then when he came, to her aid, it was just such a Superman moment in my opinion. That's why I love that specific moment. It was small, but it was impactful.
Yeah, that was Superman at his best. It was really great.
Definitely.
Also,
I
like that
even
little moment. I like that little moment where Lex Luthor actually draws on his eyebrows that he's completely bald. He has no hair on his body, and like he's like the squiggly eyebrow and everything.
I like when Lex Luthor gets KO'd by Superman.
Oh, with the time gun that burns through the superpowers.
Serum, yeah.
Yeah.
Which,
And plus that one
It
line where he
wears
says,
off.
"You could have," like when Lex said, "I could have saved the world," and Superman bluntly said, "You had multiple chances to save the world, but your ego got in the way of it." Basically.
Yeah. And then he lays him out, and Lex is
Yeah.
just laying on the ground. Yeah, that was exactly what I was thinking of. Oh, train coming by. Kale, you're up.
Okay. So it's. I feel like mine's gonna be so obscure, so I picked up a backup one just in case people don't really know which one. But mine is actually a Grant Morrison comic, and it was called We Three.
the movie treatment, the movie pitch comic.
Yeah, with the animals inside the suits in the post-apocalyptic world. Yeah,
Frank
I love
Miller.
that.
Military grade weaponry. Rabbit, dog, and cat. Cat doesn't need to. Here's the thing: the cat didn't need the super suit. Cats are just that evil.
Yeah,
that deadly.
You hear that, buddy? You don't need a super suit. You're just that evil.
right. Yeah, no, it literally, when I first read it, I mean, it came out in like 2004, and I read it in like 2007. It was almost like the ultimate, like, kind of anti-Star Fox comic in a way. And that's what I really loved about it. And it, of course, it had, like, I liked the unique concept about it. But just in case, like, nobody really had anything else to say about that, one of the things that I really love that makes me love a comic is not just about
Wait.
context. Oh.
You got to talk about R-rated Star Fox some more. Like,
well, I mean, I'll get back to it, but I'm just saying.
Sounded amazing. Okay,
Yeah,
go ahead.
But I'm saying, like, as far as like one that I've read the most, and it does, and I know it has its flaws, but one comic I keep reading over and over again just because of how strictly fun it is probably Hush.
Oh yeah.
It's cheesy. It's that cheesy. It's like Commando. Anybody says Commando it's great, but it's not great. And it's like Jenny. You can't even say Jenny. It's saying Jenny. You know, right, wrong. You asshole. You know, go and stabbing people and stick around. Oh, that's not Predator. Close enough. But it's not the same thing, really, because they have Bill Duke in both. But yeah, it's this idea of dumb. It's from the writer of Commando,
Right?
And Teen Wolf.
Yeah, it's pretty much just Batman masturbation, essentially. That's all it really is. And like with really good art. I know Jim Lee, like I think like that's some of his best work. I really love.
That's the last great thing he did. That is the last great thing Jim Lee did, because when he did that Superman book and then onwards, like his style changed. I think he did that book and that right there. That's like that's peak Jim Lee.
Jim Lee, he still does a lot of good covers. Hey, I'm DC Fans United. I got to point that out. Like half of these covers are Jim Lee.
Like that cover of the Batman with the Catwoman and Batman just head to head, which is like the dumbest thing ever. It's like,
oh, you didn't like that in the rain?
Lame. No, like yawn. Boo.
Well, Batman 50 had issues aside from a variant cover. That was like the least of its problems.
But yeah, I guess you wanted to hear more about R-rated Star Fox.
Yeah, that sounds
great.
great.
You've never heard of We Three?
I don't know.
It's kind of like a post-apocalyptic comic. Essentially, they're using these animals as prototype weapons. So you have like a dog, a cat, and a rabbit, and they're put inside like these kind of like armored suits that are and like they need them to survive. I mean, it's been a long time since I read it, so I'm trying to like remember everything about it. And actually, like in doing research for this, it made me want to pick it up and read it again. But they're essentially like pretty much like these badass animals inside of mech suits, and they still kind of act, but they're still animals, and they act like animals, and they talk through these translators that they have. but they're translated in such a way that they still talk like animals, like they're in very sort of simplistic, descriptive ways of conversation that you would expect from an animal, and it has some amazingly choreographed like action sequences. It's
Choreographed?
Well, I mean,
I know
really,
I know what you mean.
really well scripted, I guess, or paneled action, and it's so unique. Like it's not just like two superheroes punching each other again, which is always good, but you get like a real unique sense of, and you can almost hear like the sound effects these suits would make as they're like firing out these missiles or like crunching around. Like it's not only that though, like it does have a very humane story.
Oh well, it is Grant Morrison. I mean, he's a vegan. I'll never forgive Batman Incorporated for that.
I mean, I do think the ending in this story was a little bit on the weaker side. I mean, I love the climax, but the wrap up for me wasn't as compelling. I thought they could have done a little bit more with it. In fact, maybe they could have just ended it at the climax. I mean, it did have that kind of all like tightly knitted like ending that was kind of like there was a little bit of a throwback in there, like, oh yeah, this happened. I don't know if that's like a Grant Morrison trope though.
Is it like Watership Down kind of, where it's just like gory animal?
No, it's not like that at all. I mean, there is scenes of violence, but it's not like, you don't really get depressed. I mean, the ending is pretty sad, but you don't get a sense of dread while you're watching these animals. They really are like pretty badass. Like if you look up like just We 3 in the Google and just look at images, like you're like, oh wow, this doesn't look depressing. This is pretty badass. Like you see like these, they're in the suits and they're kind of just, and the art like.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, I was just saying, and I just really like the art style in it. Like it almost has like a Western kind of manga feel to it with how like fluid it looks, but it's actually like good.
Cool.
Well,
Hey, Jacob.
Sorry, go ahead.
I recommend this book to Jacob because it's the same team from All Star Superman, basically. It's also Frank Wiley's art, and the story is not as sad as I thought it would be. But yeah, I do recommend this story for all of you.
Which one?
Today. Which one? The We 3.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize it was the same artist too. That's kind of
yeah.
The pages up now.
Oh, okay.
I can share a screen if you want me to. I can bring those up.
Go for it.
Yeah, this is from the book. This is the first. It's not really post-apocalyptic. It's really it's like military training. They grab these dogs off the streets, and dog, a cat, rabbit, grab these people's pets and weaponize them and using them for like anti-terrorist and like basically hit. It's like, hey, you can't, like it's hard to tell a person to go kill another person, but it's easy to tell an animal. And so if you've ever heard of BBC Pigeon, it's for non-English speakers, so like they can easily wrap their head around English. To see tail, bad fix now, no fix 13 com. Question to where? See, like this kind of like it's like almost like internet speak.
Huh.
But yeah, the artwork, it's brilliant artwork, but there's a couple Watership Down moments. I'd say like a little bit.
Yeah, like the whole helicopter chase sequence where you see all the bunnies getting blasted.
And the government's backup plan. Yeah, it's
the We 4.
Yeah, it's like one of those things. Just read it. It's only 3 issues, and apparently it's $9.99 on that, or you can buy. Yeah, it makes more sense by the little trade paperback. I actually love that cover too.
Yeah,
it kind of sets everything up. That's what I'm saying. You don't need this. Does not need the suit to be deadly.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, good boy, good boy. But yeah, love that stuff. Just love it.
Cool. That's crazy.
Yeah,
Well,
I read that. I read that story in like, I want to say, less than an hour or like an hour and a half. It's a really quick read. But the ending is really disappointing. That's one thing
Yeah.
I do agree. It's very weekend. I like the ending, but it's
Well, I
like
feel like they didn't even need. Like, I feel like if they would have just ended it with the climax, or like the climax of that action sequence, I don't really even think they needed that whole kind of like thing with the homeless guy. Like, I feel that kind of like you're kind of like, oh yeah, that guy.
I think it's like kind of sequel bait too. That's what I thought. But that's just my. But other than that, I mean, it's probably the best of those like short miniseries. Like Sea Guy was it was okay. It wasn't this like I thought it was trying to be a little too clever, but Sebastian O. Kill Your Boyfriend's really good. It'd make a really good indie movie. With Philip Bond doing the artwork. It's basically an indie comic that was initially published. It was out of print for a while and they republished it, so probably find it on Comixology as well. But it's Kill Your Boyfriend. It's actually it's really good. But it's weird. So if you don't like kind of British, it's almost like, okay, if you like Train Spotting, you'd like the comic. But if you don't like Train Spotting, you probably won't like it.
And you're still talking about We Three?
Oh no, it's Kill Your Boyfriend. It's another Grant Morrison book. So
okay.
Oh yeah, I was curious about that one, but something about the art and the concept, I was like, nah, this is not for me.
Right on. So Bob, what's your pick?
Red Robin Collision.
Right on.
Like, the thing I love about this is it truly shows Tim Drake coming into his own. I mean, out of all the Robins, he's the only one that's truly the detective. And what made this even better is after the big finale where he finally beats Ra's al Ghul, Ra's al Ghul just ends with, "Well done, detective." And that is like the hugest compliment that you can ever get from Ra's al Ghul. I mean, it was well written. The art was crisp. It was well worth the read. Like, I wish more books actually took the time to flesh out the sidekicks the way they did with Tim Drake. And like they did some with Dick Grayson and whatnot. They've been doing it more with Jason Todd and Damian, but to me, Tim Drake will always be my favorite Robin. So once again, had to go with Red Robin Collision.
That's a good one. Yeah, I remember reading that.
Yeah, I hadn't read that one, but it sounds interesting.
Yeah, you read it, THO?
Yeah, it's basically what he described. Basically, fleshing out Tim Drake more to be like his own character in a way. Like a character that isn't as reliant on Batman, as the other sidekicks were in a way.
Right on.
Like they even have a panel in it where they go. They're saying Tim Drake, current world's greatest detective, because of the fact that Batman was supposed to be dead at the time.
Oh yeah, that's right. It was right after Final Crisis when Darkseid supposedly killed Batman, which I wish would have stick like a couple more years, like a good 10.
Yeah, I really felt that way too. He's still dead during Blackest Night, though, right?
Yeah, he was still dead. But
that's a whole
Blackest
thing.
Night, he came back right before. He came back right before Black Mirror started, though. I remember that.
Yeah, shoot. Now I don't know whether to talk about Blackest Night or Kingdom Come, because didn't Red Robin originate in Kingdom Come?
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. The 50. I mean, what was it? When they're missing what was it called? It was during the 52, like when the 1 year later, stuff, because that's when that's when they actually brought it officially into the DC universe.
Oh, that's when they brought Kingdom Come in.
Well, no, the Red Robin deal. So for a brief period, and then it kind of backtracked.
Yeah, so that causes a little confusion, I think. But just for me, it did it first because I had read Kingdom Come first. So because in that too, Red Robin is Dick Grayson. So just to make things extra complicated, but I guess he'd probably be from a different Earth anyway. So
yeah,
it's just one of those little similarities. I found to be cool, but it is a good segue into the book I was going to pick, which I'm glad no one else picked, and that's Kingdom Come by Mark Waid with art by Alex Ross. Really great, you know.
That's also on my list, man. You beat me to it.
Yeah, I figured it would be on people's lists. Kind of surprised.
Right behind me. The slipcase hardcover Absolute Edition, right behind me.
That's awesome. I'm not sure what edition this is. Do they all have a dedication to Christopher Reeve in the front?
Is it soft cover or you got the hardcover?
I have a soft cover one.
I don't know. I don't think mine has that.
Okay, it might just be this edition. I'm not sure what it is. It just says Kingdom Come, and then it has in the first page it says dedicated to Christopher Reeve, who makes us believe a man can fly. So I thought that was a nice touch. But overall, I mean, there's so much that you could say about this book. It would take up a whole live stream. Obviously, the art is ridiculously good.
Yeah, it's like a 1950s like ad or something, like the entire comic.
Norman Rockwell, the comic. If Norman Rockwell worked for DC.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, it's just over the top good. Like pretty much Alex Ross mostly just does covers and whatnot now. Back in the good old days, they got him to draw whole, books. So it's pretty incredible. I really like the take on it too of the old heroes and the new heroes clashing, and it's just like it has so much to say too. I reread the book actually last night and before the live stream. I finished it, and there's just so many themes, and almost every page you find new things. It's one of those books you can read over and over and probably still find new things. Similar to The Watchmen in that way, just where it's so dense and there's so many characters and things. Another cool thing too, which is just kind of a fun little twist, especially when you've been reading comics for a little while, is the Kingdom Come versions of all the characters. So, I mean, there are some original creations like Alloy, right? Is a combination of all the metal men into one hero. I always thought his powers were pretty neat because he can do everything the metal men can do, but he's one guy. And you see him with Magog when they take down freaking Parasite, and he tears open Captain Atom. But the really big guy there is Alloy. I don't know. It's just a really terrific book. There's so much to it. Even like when he goes and visits. Oh yeah,
yeah, which is Spider-Man if he was the son of Captain Marvel Jr. or Mary Marvel.
He's on like you brought him up when I was talking. He's on like one panel.
Well, he's actually the reason I bring him up because in the back of the Absolute Edition, which if you can get it, I recommend it. It has the sketches, which has it has full figure Captain Marvel Jr., Mary Marvel, and then the Wiz, which looks this is like Spider-Man, but with like the webbing underneath instead of being like spider webbing, it's like lightning bolts coming out from underneath. And so I'm surprised they haven't really done more with that. Like that kind of stuff, but you know how they are with the Marvel family or the Shazam family, whatever they're calling it now, because of the whole rights, whatever. So
I guess depending on how well the movie does, we might see a big push for Shazam finally. But yeah, historically DC has not treated Shazam well. Even in this book, Kingdom Come, the few people I've heard, other than people that hate Mark Waid, which is a lot, but other than people in that camp, the only real critics I've heard are people who are big Captain Marvel fans, and they just hate how he was treated in Kingdom Come. And I can see that. I guess that would maybe be my one criticism too, but he does essentially die a hero. So I don't know. What do you think about that?
Well, me personally, I kind of liked how they had Lex Luthor get a hold of Billy Batson and pretty much brainwash him. Yeah, I thought that was very well done, but I still stand by one of the best. The best things of that comic is in the Batcave where Superman and Batman are talking, and Batman brings up the black and Superman logo, and Superman's all like, "I don't have a dark side. I'm not you." And he's like, "The black in your costume would beg to differ," basically.
Yeah. Gosh, what does he say exactly? It's like, I don't have a dark side, and I've got it right here. So that's why. But anyways, Superman says, "I don't have that dark side," and Batman says, "Tell that to your tailor. Black is the new look for you." So he added black to instead of yellow on his emblem.
Mm-hmm.
But man, that was after Kansas got nuked. I don't blame him. That was horrible. You know, they need Captain Atom should probably just leave Earth because that and in Flashpoint Paradox, Captain Atom goes off and it's like worse than a nuke.
Yeah, he's a walking supernova waiting to happen.
They used it in that when they did the Wildstorm crossover. Had Captain Atom show up in the Wildstorm universe with the costume from Kingdom Come, and then the whole Wildstorm characters like, we got to get him out of here. He's going to destroy our Earth. It's like, we've seen Kingdom Come. We've read the comic or something. It's like, we got to get him out of here. So it's kind of funny to see that happen.
I love that. That's how I would be too.
Well,
it's like,
it's
I'm Captain Atom. I'm here to help. Like, no, get out of here.
You're nuclear man. Get out of here. Well, actually, that Wildstorm thing, Captain Atom at the end of Superman Batman, the first trade paperback Public Enemies, when Captain Atom flies the composite Superman Batman robot to take out the meteorite of Kryptonite.
Yeah. They do that in the movie too.
Yeah, but with Batman instead.
But yeah, he disappears and ends up in the Wildstorm universe. Like, there's the cataclysmic energies shifted him in between dimensions through the bleed or the multiverse or whatever, and he ended up in the Wildstorm universe.
And then they just gave up and brought Wildstorm into the DC universe, right?
And did nothing with it.
They're like, here's Grifter.
Grifter and Voodoo, and that's it. It's like, hey, here's Fairchild playing supporting character for Superboy, and that's it. That's really the only thing they did.
That's kind of a problem. I mean, it's really great in the event books, but a lot of times DC has a lot of characters on the sidelines not getting used.
Penalty box is very full.
Yeah, that's what happens when you buy up all the small publishers.
I have something to say about Kingdom Come. It's really great story, but it's the first official fan fiction comic, and officially it is. Hey, Captain Atom, because Captain Atom gets blown up and everything. Hey, the day after, like the TV movie thing. Then you have Captain Marvel getting brainwashed, just like Chekhov and Captain Terrell from Wrath of Khan. You have all these like, oh, clearly, it's everything. It's like, hey, you got the Terminator stuff. You got this. You got it's like everything that had come before. Hey, Alex Ross used it. He actually used. Because I'm pretty sure this was not Mark Waid doing it. It probably was, but it could have been. But I'm going to lean towards more like Alex Ross. He took some of the unfinished story plot lines from the Terry Gilliam Watchmen movie that was supposed to be done with Arnold Schwarzenegger as Dr. Manhattan, where there was like these terrorists on Liberty Island, these two-headed terrorists are attacking Liberty Island. And they actually put that in Kingdom Come.
Oh, with, what was his name? Patriot Commando or something.
Yeah, there's like the two-headed
Commando.
Commando with the two weird-headed mutant-looking things. There's
Is that when they take over the Statue of Liberty?
Yes, and that's out of the Terry Gilliam. That's supposed like the Terry Gilliam.
That's an awesome scene, though. You can use ideas from past stuff.
But it's so much pulled from everything else. It's like very few.
Larry, you can say that about Star Wars.
I still enjoy it, but it's like, you know how Star Wars, like, oh, it's great. Yeah, all it is Flash Gordon's hidden fortress. It's like,
right. I mean, that's like
Kurosawa. There's like nothing else really much to it. It's like,
it's every hero story ever.
Bare bones, bare bones. But sometimes bare bones is fine.
That's like my pornography.
That came out of left field. Oh, you talking about Savage Dragon? Oh, that fell flat. Savage Dragon's got some pretty naughty covers.
I actually want to read Savage Dragon because I've heard it's actually pretty good. It's just
the original, maybe, but not the current one.
You want you some of that porn comics? We know how it is. You want some of that American hentai?
That's really what it is.
I stick to Brazzers. Thank you very much.
Oh, he's classy with the monitor.
Seems like it big.
The Incredible Hulk with his lovely, fish thing on his head.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Really like an Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
It's really Eric Larson can draw. It's just, I don't know, he's put his whole life into one character.
He's a great dude to meet at conventions. Do free sketch if he ain't busy. He's like a totally different person between online interactions and real life. Same thing with Mark Waid. When I met Mark Waid, he was a nice guy. Everybody was like, "Oh, he's the devil incarnate." I'm like, I don't think so.
I don't know.
I don't know, but that's my personal opinion. I know that's very controversial. Like, how dare you defend Mark? I'm not defending him. I'm just saying he was a nice guy when I met him. He wasn't rude to me. He could have. He he was actually like he seemed genuinely interested in what I had to say. Was like, Neil Adams was like, I'm like, all right, if you don't want to talk to nobody, guess what? Just sit there like a mummy in a sarcophagus. Like, take a picture with Neil Adams. It's like King Tut or something. If you don't want to interact with somebody.
That's hilarious.
I really like Mark Waid. Like, I don't really, I don't have a Twitter account, so I don't really know much about his political ideas and stuff.
Anymore. Well, not officially.
That's kind of.
But I do want to say that I've heard some YouTubers say this, and I mentioned it to Jacob about how Kingdom Come. This is probably just, rumors, of course, but it's funny how during those years, Image came out, and then Marvel and DC were like, we should do what the Image guys are doing, And I feel like Mark Waid probably, got some motivation, or when he wrote this story, he was writing like all the future superheroes,
Oh yeah.
It's like sort of like an allegory,
Yes.
future comic book might and really and how guys under, but yeah, I found that to be like a very interesting idea or concept.
Yeah, I kind of get that. I remember you were telling me about it before. It's like the golden age heroes being the like DC and Marvel classic guys, and then the newer heroes that they're fighting against in Kingdom Come would be like Image and the newer books coming out, right?
Yeah, how everything was just basically going to shit, and Mark Waid was like, you know what? We need to focus more on writing good stories and not all this mumbo jumbo and making everybody have like what do you call pouches all over the damn costumes and being all extreme and all 90s,
Mhm.
I just find that hilarious.
Like I said, the Rob Liefeld.
Oh yeah, like the Rob Liefeld.
Ooh, I think you're breaking
all
up.
the McFarlane, all those Image days.
I always wanted Jeff Loeb and Rob Liefeld to do more work together, make a trifecta of awful.
Well,
Jeff Loeb can be alright.
Did, but Jeff
Could
Loeb
be
can do some good stuff. He
could,
can do good
Long
stuff. Dumb but
Halloween.
good.
I like Long Halloween.
I would love to see Rob Liefeld draw like a porn comic.
Oh my god.
They would have no.
No. I'm
He'd
having
have- he
the
already-
Captain America flashbacks.
Oh well, there's close enough to it with that. Well, it wasn't Rob Liefeld, probably one of his clones with that the Santa Claus, the Ultimate Warrior thing. That was the Strucity, Skrunkin and everything. Ooh, nightmares.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand how a lot of people really enjoy Rob Liefeld's art. I mean, no disrespect to anybody, but it's just,
did you see what
I
we
get
were
headaches
wearing in the
whenever I
90s?
see.
Did you see the styles that we were
What
wearing
was that?
in the 90s? In the 90s, what
Yeah.
clothes we were wearing?
All I
Yeah.
gotta do is look at Kevin Smith and still see the '90s are still alive.
Oh yeah, right.
I'm more surprised that he's still
Yeah.
alive, to be honest.
Well,
Man,
if,
Yeah.
breaking shitter on
he
the
keeps
toilet
it
on
up,
the
I mean,
plane.
you know
I think
what?
he's lost weight.
Yeah,
That's
Kevin
probably why
Smith made
he's
me
still
feel
alive.
great. First time ever flying. I'm flying a budget airline in the cheapest seats, and I'm thinking, oh god, I'm hopefully I'm not Kevin Smith fat where I got to buy 2 seats. I'm like, I fit, yatta! I did it. So it made me feel great. So it's like Kevin Smith's misfortune was my gain. So
Could have been worse.
could have been a lot worse.
But yeah, with the Kingdom Come, like the alternate versions of some of the characters, I really like pretty much all of the alternate takes, like Dead Man just being a straight up skeleton.
I'm not a fan of the Big Barda though. He may be even.
What?
Hey, here's
No
the
way.
problem. Helen Mirren is old chick, but she looks great. Big Barda should be old. She can be missing the eye and look great, but she looks like "Ugh." Like he did such a poor job where he's like, "Nah." No, Big Barda's a goddess. Don't you be messing with my Big Barda. So he messed with Big Barda, so that was a big from me.
Yeah,
In Kingdom Come.
kind of weird.
Yeah, Big Barda's in there.
wasn't-
Like, check her out in that.
Well, I know she's in that,
She's
but
got that kind of face. It's not even
Oh
like
yeah, that's right. They made Bart look old in that book for some reason.
way
right?
too old. She's probably like 2 or 3 4,000 years old.
She's a,
You
yeah,
know?
she's older than you got there. Remember
Every-
in Batman Beyond, she was one of the Justice League episodes. and she
Exactly.
still looked like young.
You
I
know,
liked her costume though.
it wasn't much different than her standard costume, but
Yeah, it was like normal but brighter. It was like a Mr. Miracle color palette on Big Barda. How about Mr. Miracle just running running his jail for him for Superman?
the warden.
Yeah, because he knows everything about traps and how to escape. I
The
thought
ultimate
that
escape artist.
yeah, the perfect guy to run a prison. I don't
It's kinda
remember
funny 'cause
many
he grew
like
up in a prison.
yeah, true. They don't show Big Barda's face very much. It's usually she's like walking or something. Now I'm trying to find it. So THO, yeah, she's got like a mask on most of the time. She looks like Mr. Miracle, I think, with the yellow painted face.
No, that's the daughter. That's the daughter. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Dude,
That's
you just read it?
yeah. Dude, they don't
Press
say
X to
anybody's
doubt.
name. You have to like read the little thing at the end that says everyone's names, and they're all like, there's like Hour Man 3, Star Man 8, Robot Man 3, Bullet Girl number 2. Like, come on.
Yeah.
It's a little hard to know every single person. Plus, two, it looks just like Big Barda. I think anyway.
I haven't read it in years, so I'm kind of like what I remembered that really stuck out. I mentioned, and the rest, I'm not going to make a fool of myself.
That's always wise. I usually do that. No, they call her Big Barda. Oh, okay. When she's in the club there, that's like a younger one.
Yeah, I think so.
Interesting, because she's dressed just like her. Whatever, it doesn't really matter. So, what was another book you wanted to talk about? THO? Do you have more than one?
You haven't even get to me yet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You don't count anymore.
As much as you talked, I assumed.
Well, no,
Or-
I didn't talk that much this time. It was
Nah.
Martin. We let Martin go for like 20 minutes. It's almost an hour in, and you haven't even gotten yours favorite yet, dude.
No,
Yeah.
I've been talking about Kingdom Come for a long time. That was my pick.
I know, but still, So that's
I
your
could
favorite.
talk about Kingdom Come more. I don't know if it's my favorite because there's so many good choices, but I could read it over and over. Just the fact that there's like multiple versions of Big Barda, and I thought there was one, even though I've read it several times. Like, there's all these things where it's in 1 or 2 panels at the most, or there's a whole crowd of superheroes around Superman while he's talking and stuff. But man, just the dialogue is so good, and even the little Bible references and stuff. I know that's cliche, but it's so powerful too. The way it's interwoven with the Armageddon stuff.
Yeah.
It's great. I don't know if it could ever be. Do you think they could ever do a movie of it and have it work? I'll ask Kale
like
that one.
Maybe like
Of
a
what?
3-part animated movie or something
Kingdom
like
Come.
Oh man, see that would be tough because I think the art defines that story so much.
I was about
I-
to say the same.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it'd be really difficult to like translate to the screen without it like really either looking like anything else or like you couldn't get that is a story that is defined by its art, and I think you cannot nail the art in any other medium.
You kind of had that problem with the Watchmen adaptation too,
Well, I
right?
mean, I have a lot more problems with that, but I think the art defined Kingdom Come way more than the Watchmen did, than the art in the Watchmen did.
That
like
was just
that-
more style.
What are we talking about? Sorry, I got disconnected.
Oh,
Translating Kingdom Come into a film, and I was just saying that because of the art style, it couldn't translate properly.
Oh, Larry hasn't said his book?
Nope.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
We're off the rails.
Oh,
again.
I thought it was like Watchmen
Not
or
because of me.
something. Okay.
Though. Not because of me this time.
No, he was gonna say My Hero. What is it? Academia. That's Larry's pick.
How dare you? How?
It's not even a comic book. Okay, what is it, Larry?
Mine is what they've retitled it as JSA: The Golden Age, which predates Kingdom Come, which is far better than Kingdom Come. James Robinson, Paul Smith, kill it. Taking these characters, no Superman, no Batman, no Wonder Woman, none of the Trinity, no big name stars. It's very sleazy as well. You got this kind of dark, gloomy noir aspect to it. It came out in somewhere in '93. It was prestige format. It's like thicker, like the thicker books, of course, but dealing with everybody from Hawkman to Captain Atom, or the Atom. Sorry, Captain Atom. Robot Man. You have Hawk. Like Our Man, like basically all the JSA members going through kind of the sleazy, the idea of like this kind of they saved Hitler's brain, and they basically got to battle Hitler in Washington D.C. and you go through the darkness to get to the light, and in this new age of heroes. And as much as I love, and this kind of relates to another favorite of mine, but it's not as I love it. But Darwin Cook's New Frontier, without New Frontier is basically just a revamped version of JSA: The Golden Age, except much better story with JSA: The Golden Age, with the story being like the mystery, like what's going on, the revelation, like these blocked memories and all this. That not just this alien entity. It wants to whatever. I care less. Like about that the big climax to that. I cared about the climax to Golden Age. People getting their teeth kicked in. There's blood. There's violence. Actions have consequences. People do die, and not just here I'm holding holding Wonder Woman. She's covered in blood. Oh yeah, like she's gonna die if they're gonna kill Wonder Woman. And the aspect see American imperialism and American whatever sovereignty. They're okay with these women being that's whatever. It kind of got that because it's a Canadian doing it. As much as I love New Frontier, it's like I'm not going to say it don't have no flaws, but JSA: The Golden Age, love it. I love it so much. Also, great covers.
Like
I do. I really love the JSA.
Is great. Yeah, absolutely. I have the Alex Ross ones that came a little later. The where is it? The ones.
Yeah, the Jeff Johns second run, leading up to the Kingdom Come and everything, where you had Twist. What was it called? It was Red Tornado 3, basically.
Yeah, Twister, the girl one,
or something like that. Yeah, like she was basically a Red
Tornado
or Cyclone. 3. Cyclone, that's the one. But yeah, with these characters, I enjoyed that to a degree, but nowhere near as much as Golden Age. But I understand where you're coming from. You like your Alex Ross, you like your Kingdom Come. But I think Kingdom Come also owes a lot of itself to Golden Age. This, there's a lot. I see a lot of Kingdom Come being influenced from Golden Age. But maybe that's
I know you like Dale. Was it
Eaglesham?
Eaglesham,
yeah.
So, he did the art on JSA America, or Justice Society America, the Jeff Johns ones. He did the interiors.
Yeah, that worked great. Especially his Stargirl is the best Stargirl. Actually draws her to look like a kid, but not like a, not overly sexualized. But no, she just looks like a kid. She looks like a kid hero.
Sometimes they do that though. Like I was reading Final Crisis. And they've got all the upskirts of Miss Martian and Supergirl, and I'm just like, I feel dirty reading this.
Maybe because
Stargirl
is based off of Jeff Johns' deceased sister. Then maybe that's the reason she's treated much more respectful.
Okay.
So but too bad somebody didn't base their kid off of Leanne Harper. Maybe we'd get a little bit more respect from her, but for her, instead of getting blown up with that Cry for Justice stuff.
Oh God, don't remind me.
Oh,
brutal.
Dark times.
I didn't think anyone was going to bring up Cry for Justice as their favorite.
Well, I hope not. I hope not.
Well, now that you mention it.
I do like Prometheus though, just because he's such a good villain. Like he is very successful in his villainy. I'd put him in the top 10.
Yeah, give him that. He actually does win when he,
Yeah, and
Keep
he's
him away from bullwhips, though. Keep him away from bullwhips. He gets
keep him away from
when
arrow.
a member of Jackass is tougher than Prometheus. They could take a bowling ball to the nuts, but Prometheus can't take a bullwhip. Something's wrong there. But that's my personal opinion.
The power scaling is all over the place on that comic, though. I mean, he takes down like the whole Justice League by himself. Prometheus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, he's in a lot of ways, I think he's similar to Batman. Just, you know, if Batman were to take down the Justice League, it would be pretty similar to how Prometheus did it. Maybe not as cruel, but as meticulous and thoughtful. Like he had that Vulcan bullet that he used to take down Supergirl. You know, he had like a plan for every single person. Even, you know, there's Zatanna and all kinds of people that are way stronger than he is power-wise, and he got right through them. But what was it, Donna Troy just wouldn't quit, even though she'd gotten arrows through her wrists and stuff. Took him down. I don't know.
Yeah.
As dark as that book is, I do like aspects of it.
Too much darkness.
Way too dark. You know, that was a really dark time for DC. That whole kind of era.
Yeah.
Well, DC has generally been the more darker of the two in a lot of ways. Like, especially with books like Dark Knight Returns, Kingdom Come, like things that have already been mentioned or given proof that DC's always been pretty dark. But that's just my opinion. That's part of the reason why I like DC, the fact that they do show that these superpowered beings are flawed at times.
Oh yeah.
Like, whereas Marvel, they do too much flaw, if that makes sense. Especially nowadays, where it's like they focus too much of the flaws, not enough on the superhero. DC tried to be like, these are superheroes that have flaws, and here's how they try to balance their flaws with being this practical god, if you will.
Yeah. I got you what you mean.
That makes sense. Yeah, I mean, it's always been dark in a way. Like, it's weird because you can be dark, but it's really how it's presented, right? So you had Crisis on Infinite Earths. They literally destroyed many universes. Yeah, I think there was, 2 or 3 left by the time they were done, and they merged them together into one. That's pretty dark if you think about it, but it was still presented in that kind of more comic booky, lighter way, you know? But you look at something like Cry for Justice, even just the death of one little girl is like so much more brutal. And like you see Roy Harper's arm get ripped off with the blood spurting everywhere. I don't know. It was just the way it was presented, I think, that was so shocking for people. It was like it was reveling in its own shockingness, you know?
Shock value.
Yeah, it was shocking to be shocking, not because it needed to happen for the story. And, you know,
Marvel has a lot of. I do love DC the most, but yeah, Marvel has had a lot of really like dark and messed up stories too.
That is true.
Definitely.
So I guess we're back to you, THO. Do you have another book?
Yeah, I got another one. Keeping the theme of DEC, what's another good one? Probably Last Son of Krypton. It's kind of a cheat because it's 2 books in one, but the graphic novel has like one story where where General Zod basically escapes the Phantom Zone with other prisoners as well, because his son, you know, Chris Kent, somehow he's like, I don't know, like when he entered our world, like it opened a portal to the Phantom Zone, and Zod and all these Kryptonians are trying to take over. Basically like the Superman movie, Man of Steel. But to me, the highlight of the book would have to be the Brainiac story arc, which basically like how Hawkman basically answered like all the different iterations of Hawkman, like Qatar Hall, the Thanagarian police officer, and like the Egyptian pharaoh and stuff like that, basically saying that he's reincarnated over again for space and time. Well, the Brainiac one, it's basically like all the different versions of Brainiac were either proxies or robots sent to Earth to, to analyze it, for its knowledge and see if it was worthy of collection. And then you should see the real Brainiac, and he's like 3 times bigger than Superman. And he actually does a good job of staying even with him until Superman takes him out of his ship, which is basically the source of his power. And plus, it brought back Kandar, and it also followed the ending of the original Richard Donner Superman movie, where his father dies from a heart attack, and it was out of his control because he had to get Kandar near the fortress before it expanded. Because if it expanded near a city, it would have destroyed it.
So, does this take place right before New Krypton, then?
Yeah, right before the New Krypton story arc.
Oh, because I've read the first couple volumes of New Krypton, but I haven't read what you're talking about. So
the Brainiac. Yeah, that's key. And plus, I love how they drew, like, how Kara was written in the book, because when she heard that Brainiac was coming to Earth, she was terrified. Like, she was so scared she couldn't control her heat vision. She was literally melting one of the machines in the fortress, describing how Brainiac came down and took Kandar.
They do that in New Krypton, too. She loses control over heat vision when her father dies.
Oh, yeah.
They show that on the cover. It's pretty cool. I mean, it's not cool for her, but it's a cool story thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
It just reminded me of New Krypton.
And like, the ending was so bittersweet because Superman got his people back, but he lost his dad. And he actually goes to the prison where Brainiac is and just beats the living crap out of him, because technically it's his fault he couldn't get to his dad in time, John Kent.
Well, Bendis has undone all that.
Yeah,
Kandor's gone, right? Yeah, he destroyed Kandor, so.
Yeah. Which is
DC.
Yeah. And plus, I think it was like a collaboration between Jeff Johns, Richard Donner, Gary Frank, and I think one more artist. Because, right, it's 2 books.
Yeah, that was the first time I ever saw Gary Frank's art, that Brainiac story. I was like, whoa, who is this guy? And then I started, looking back at his other work. And then I started getting into Peter David's Incredible Hulk, because Gary Frank did a lot of stuff with Marvel and Squadron Supreme. And I was like, whoa, this guy is amazing. And sadly, I haven't read everything by him and Jeff Johns as far as Superman goes, but I'm really hoping DC prints their omnibus or 2 eventually.
Yeah, just New Krypton was 4 volumes, like the main story, and then there was a bunch of volumes of tie-ins. I think they kept the same team on that, right? It was Johns and Frank. I know it's Gary Frank's art.
Yeah, I think you're right. But I think the highlight of that story was Brainiac still, because they basically tied in all the versions from the Golden Age and the Silver Age, and then they gave us a new version which encapsulates all the previous Brainiacs, but made him that much more intimidating, just, physically and intellectually.
What'd you think of Brainiac in Justice League No Justice?
I was kind of sad because they killed him off. It's like, you killed off probably one of the biggest threats in the entire DC universe in the first issue.
And he died like a chump.
Yeah, the entire No Justice thing could have been centered around Brainiac. That's how big he was.
Yeah. Oh, they were all fighting him in the beginning, right?
Yeah.
He actually beat him, essentially. But yeah, Amanda Waller hacked his brain and blew his head up.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. That's stupid. Yeah. Like, Brainiac would get blown up by Waller, of all people.
We all know Brainiac's best story is Convergence. Come on, guys.
Oh, man. I do like the tie-ins to Convergence.
Yeah. But that version of Brainiac basically spawned like the Injustice version of Brainiac as well, if you think about it. And
yeah, that's definitely my favorite Brainiac story of all time, no doubt.
Yeah, I just loved how they basically tied Brainiac to also Krypton's history, because if you remember the animated series, he wasn't a alien; he was a Kryptonian supercomputer that basically saved itself instead of saving Krypton. So kind of brought in elements of that by Brainiac to Krypton in the DC comics as well. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's really good. It's always confusing when they change the storyline on things like Brainiac coming from a whole planet of people that are the
Coluans, yeah.
Yeah, that's the current continuity, huh?
Yeah, it's the current one.
Although his planet got destroyed, so who knows?
I don't know. I think his planet's still around.
Didn't the Omega Titans eat it?
I'm not sure. I think it
might. Oh no,
they
they moved the trees before they did. Oh, okay, so they did save it.
All right,
I think. I can't remember. I feel like they destroyed it, but who knows? So, Nerdette, you got another book for us?
Yeah. What did I say before?
It was a Batman.
A Dozen the Family. Okay. Probably The Killing Joke. That's another one that's kind of really close to. And times like when I've just actually reread that because I did a video on it, sort of. But I absolutely love that one. The whole mental breakdown of Jim Gordon, and just the ending with a lot of not controversy. I can't speak, but with whether or not Batman killed Joker or not. And then that leads, with the Barbara Gordon situation, it's just absolutely one of my favorites. That one I can pick up and read all the time.
Isn't it weird how I thought that was like the one comic they couldn't screw up if they made it into an animated film, and they found a way.
They definitely could.
It's because it was such a
they definitely screwed that up.
Story. Yeah, I was like, I thought like it was such a simple, self-contained story, and it was like great that way. Even like the panel work of it, like being like watching almost like a motion comic in a way with how the script of it was. And I was like, oh, this is gonna be the easiest thing to like convert into like Nope.
That was horrible. That animated movie was one of the worst. Oh my gosh, I haven't seen that in years. But
the first 30 minutes, take that away, it would have been perfect.
Speaking of horrible, that's how I feel about The Killing Joke. I hate that comic with a passion.
Stop it! Are you kidding me? How can you hate that?
Worst Batmobile, worst Joker story. I hate the Joker to begin with, so that right there is the worst thing ever. This idea, it's like, is it his origin? Maybe it's not his origin. Hey, how do we cripple the bitch for and the best thing the only good thing to come out of that was Oracle, and then of course they reversed that. That's no longer a thing. But the idea of hey, let's have some bondage midgets strip Jim Gordon down, to nothing, and
put him in a cage,
and then show him photos of his daughter writhing around in pain, and you say, "Well, Joker stripped her naked." Well, no, stripped her naked. I know,
but it's still so good.
To me, it's like this is the kind of thing. It's like, and then the ambiguous, like, did he kill the Joker or didn't he? Batman, to me, like when you start introducing stuff like this, it's like when you have a villain, kill it, maim and wound and kill loved ones, all this and that, and all you do is lock him up and throw him in a place that he gets out of every single time. It just makes me hate that character and hate reading the comic because once you get
Magog.
Because if I was, I relate to Magog. I would just go on and the Rogues Gallery. I'd go to Penguin's Iceberg place, just kill him, impale him on a giant icicle. I just go around and start killing all these villains because this idea of let's lock up the Joker. Now, if they showed the Joker,
blow up Arkham.
Well, the thing about this, I would nuke Arkham. I would just vaporize it. But the idea of if the book were to show Batman actually break Joker's neck, but Joker and walk away, and Joker get up. The fact that Batman, the one person he can kill, and the urge he fights not to kill people, and if he kills Joker, cannot die by conventional means. He's kind of like some Jason Voorhees person that he just keeps on killing. But all these other people, he could kill Poison Ivy with some Agent Orange. Mr. Freeze, he just turned on a sun lamp. Penguin, he just. Feed him some laced fish. These kind of things. He could take him out. Harley Quinn, just whatever. Smack her around a few times and she'll love you. That's another character.
Read that new Doomsday Clock issue. I think it's issue 5. The comedian basically does what you're saying. He pretty much takes them all down, all these rogues.
See,
Like Mr. Freeze, you know, he's got this glass head. He just shoots it with a freaking sniper rifle, and Mr. Freeze is KO'd. You know.
that's how
What
weak
else? He
Batman's
takes out a bunch of them. He shoots the Riddler too.
That's why the Shadow is a better character than Batman. Shadow
Well,
wouldn't put up with this. The Shadow
I
just go around like, oh, you're the Joker. You poison people with gas and taint fish. All right, down. There you go. Problem solved.
I do love the Shadow. You're not going to hear any disagreement. You know, I love Batman too, but man, the Shadow's he's so cool. I like the Steve Orlando crossover. Well, it wasn't. Yeah, it was a crossover. Batman Shadow from like 2016. In that one, it's like Batman was actually trained by the Shadow, so it's kind of a
He's a bad
passing
student,
on.
though.
Yeah, it was like
he should just kill people. Makes it a lot simpler.
maybe. All right. So let's see. It's Killing Joke. I guess Martin. What's your next pick? You had All Star Superman before.
Yeah. For my next choice, I'm just gonna. I want to mention Year One by Miller and Dave Mazzucchelli. It's just an amazing, team. They did a phenomenal job with Daredevil Reborn, and I really like the Batman Year One story a lot. It's actually more of a Jim Gordon story, but it's also very interesting to see like a Batman who's not experienced and kicking ass and all that, with all his crazy gadgets, and the art style of Dave Mazzucchelli is just it's really good. I'm very saddened that he didn't actually chose to work on more comic books, as far as I know. So yeah, that's my pick for like my favorite stories. As far as like DC goes, I have read Batman Year One probably like 6 or 7 times. I don't know. It's been multiple times.
Yeah, it's really good. It's probably the best thing, in my opinion. I haven't read everything from Frank Miller, but it's my favorite of his. I like it better than Dark Knight Returns. I think it's short, but it's like a perfect little comic. And I thought the animated film adaptation was really good too. They did a pretty good job.
Around what time period? Oh, sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say too about it being a Jim Gordon comic. Yeah, I get that. It's definitely makes you identify with Jim Gordon, and it even starts off with him and follows him a lot. So, yeah.
When did Frank Miller begin to realize he couldn't draw?
He hasn't.
No, but wait, didn't he do his own drawing for a little, like draw his own comics for a while?
No, I mean he hasn't realized that he can't draw. He's still doing it.
He did Daredevil. He did Ronin. He did his he did the Daredevil run first, and then Mazzucchelli did Born Again. He did Ronin. He did the Wolverine story with Chris Claremont. He did Sin City. He did Strikes Again, and then he kind of sort of.
Whoa! Like,
but he didn't. You want a worse one? Go read that god awful Master Race, which was just like New Krypton, except 10 years later.
I thought it was Master Race
100 times, like just like everything, like ever people complain about New Krypton at times, like something like it's got little flaws. Imagine if you turn the flaws up to 1 million, and that would be Master Race, which is like
DK3 Master Race.
Yeah, the Dark Knight 3,
Yeah, I didn't buy in on that either. Was that just from a year or two ago?
Yeah, I picked up the hardcover for like $10. I should have known. For $10, that's not a good sign. It's like $10 is a hardcover. It's pretty thick. I'm like, that's a pretty good deal. It wasn't a deal. It wasn't a deal.
It wasn't a deal.
Yeah, it was weird because I haven't heard. Didn't hear anything about that release. Like it just kind of happened.
Well, the worst thing about it would have been better if it was Frank Miller doing everything, because if Holy Terror is one of my favorite It's So Bad It's Good books.
What?
It's basically supposed to be Batman versus Al-Qaeda, and it's like, you know what, this guy's insane. He was, but you know what, he was at ground zero. I'm pretty sure that he got that from that dust, like the particulates, is like, where like you breathe in that stuff, because he was at ground. He was like Lower Manhattan on September 11th. Like 2 or 3 blocks away from the World Trade Centers. You know, so I don't know. That probably messed him. He was working on Dark Knight Strikes Again, and probably didn't help none the fact that, you know, everything happened. But yeah, it's like I enjoy his artwork at times, but haven't really enjoyed it in years. Like, it hasn't been like, oh my god, it's been like the Sin City to Hell and Back was like the last time I think that was like his. That's when like everything else has been downhill since. But you know.
Oh, he's got that Xerxes comic too. He's got
It looks pretty good. I'm gonna wait till collection's out, but
that one might be okay. I don't know. He's kind of hit or miss, but I wouldn't go for it anymore. You know, the thing about it is, even like Jack Kirby, you know, one of the greatest artists there was, he really, you know, people just get old, you know, towards the end of an artist's lifetime. Their art often
the difference
decreases.
is, though, Kirby was 53 years old when he created the Fourth World. He was 53 years old. And then when he was drawing up till he died in 93, 94. So that's what, 1917. You know, the dude was pushing it. You know, like, but he still worked because he had to. Because unlike Stan Lee, but unlike Stan Lee, he was the nephew of the
100
owner.
years old.
You know, but he was the nephew. But writers are work nowhere near as hard as artists do. And anybody that says otherwise, they're full of it. So
Well, Frank Miller was an artist as well. I mean,
yeah, but you know,
there's a lot of miles on that guy. You know,
For someone
and
who
that's-
loves
he's
TNA as
aging.
much as Frank Miller, you'd think he'd learn how to draw a woman.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. The thing about it is, it's stylized. It's cartoony. It's like you go back and look at some of those old, like like he's a big fan of Jack. Jack. I want to say Jack Fletcher. That ain't it. The creator, Jack Cole, the creator of Plastic Man. And I actually had some of those old Jack Cole's. It was an art book. It was like stuff he did for Playboy back in the day before I think he killed himself.
Jesus.
And yeah, but the cartooning, the way he drew his women are very similar to that. And clearly, Will Eisner inspired. And if you see some of Will Eisner's chicks, they're not the prettiest in the things around. So it's like, look at his influences: Will Eisner, Alex Toth, Jack Cole. These guys that helped inspire him. It's like, that's his visual style. And you know what? That's like, and it's like, well, like the same thing when people say Kirby's women are ugly. That's your interpretation.
Well, I just remember there being an article like, how much do you have to drink to whack off to a Frank Miller comic?
Well, first off, to whack off to a comic in general, that's pretty pathetic. So,
well, I'm just saying, you're already drinking already.
You know what? Use your imagination, you lazy bum.
Or how many days to go? Never mind. This will go dark.
Let's not go down this path.
We're off the rails.
No, we were off the rails earlier, but
That's true. I think Kale would really enjoy Savage Dragon, though.
Modern Savage Dragon,
right? The $10 cover Savage Dragon that they have to keep in the black
orgy cover Savage Dragon,
right? It was pretty bad when they had to have it covered up on the rack, and you're like, "What is this? A Savage Dragon?"
Black bagged it. Black.
Yeah, for real. They did. There was no part of the cover you could show.
It's not to protect innocent eyes. It's like this is a dying concept. It's a body bag for this comic.
Oh man, that's kind of, I don't know. We'll get off onto a tangent, but you were talking about the low sales on print comics. We're gonna have to do a whole live stream about that because it's getting bad. Print media is just failing. You're talking about it. Pretty much every New Age of Heroes book was below 20,000.
That's correct. I looked it up and I was like, that's pretty pathetic. I'm like, cancel them. Just go ahead and pull the plug.
Well, I mean, normally, but they're still ranked probably like 30th or 40th best-selling book at that low number. It's just the whole industry is a problem. Canceling that particular line isn't going to make a difference.
Well, that's part of the reason why I support a lot of indies and have them on my streams all the time, is because the way I look at it, if the big four really, DC, Marvel, Image, and IDW want to push narratives and political agendas, I will support the indie guys and help them keep comics alive.
That's cool. That's cool you have them on your streams too. I like to just kind of get the word out on little channels and artists and everything too. That's cool.
If you ever want any of these guys on, dude, just let me know. I can probably be like, hey, you should check this dude out.
Bering Strait.
The Bering Strait? Oh, got a documentary over there? No, that's cool.
What's wrong with that?
Actually, Silencer is ranking currently. This is June's number 146. Silencer number 6, 146 in Comic-Con June of 2018.
Really? What's the number? How many units?
How many units? Oh, we're only 13,868.
Oh my goodness!
And then we have Curse of Brimstone issue 3, 15,949. That's at 134.
Oh man!
Sideways 5, 16,543, and that was 128. Yeah, these Damage number 6, 17,000. Yeah, so these books, just kill it. Just kill it. It's dying. It's like it's gut shot. It's like I can make it.
Those are ranked lower than I thought they would be, actually.
Yeah, I'll be honest, the only good book from New Age of Heroes is Terrifics, and even that's not doing so hot.
It's under 20,000 too, I believe. I'd have to look it up. That's another topic for another time, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, I actually like a lot of the titles, but they're not selling too good. Ooh, let's see. Martin had the last pick, I think. So, oh man.
Oh yeah, sorry. Before we move on, I just want to say that I definitely agree that Frank Miller, after like the mid '90s, is definitely not worth reading all of his books after that. I used to love. Yeah, I used to love. I really enjoy his Daredevil, all of his Daredevil run, and I used to love Dark Knight Returns. I actually read it when I was like 10 years old, and yeah, I read it again after I was like back when I was like 18 or something, and I read it again after I was 22, and it's just not the same anymore. That book has become a little bit overrated for me. As much as I love Batman, I prefer Frank Miller's Year One.
Yeah.
If anything, as far as like his DC stuff, because I remember reading The Dark Knight Strikes Again, and I was just a kid, so at that time I thought it was pretty neat.
Oh God!
But then I kind of went to a library back when I was in the army, and so I read it. I couldn't even read halfway through it. I was like, you know what? Screw this shit.
Wow.
No more.
One thing. The Atom being a barbarian on a microscopic level, being like Conan Tarzan on a microscopic level, and kicking amoeba ass. And I know it's horrible, but I love that Flash costume. That it looks like a runner, because runners don't wear full body clothes. They wear like those it's like basically like a short, almost like it looks like a like the neoprene kind of deal, like almost like what the divers wear. Like
they're
when
called
they're
running.
divers.
They're called running shorts.
Well, yeah, but it looks like, because it's like one piece or whatever, because it's the hole coming out of the ring. But, yeah. So yeah, I kind of.
So yeah, if you have
horrible. Yeah.
Yeah, if anybody has never read any Frank Miller Batman, I would just recommend checking out Year One, and that's about it. That's all.
Yes, Skip All-Star, right?
Oh yeah, I feel bad for Jim Lee because you could tell he tried so hard on that damn book. It's like, oh, I gotta, draw this, and I don't know how he dealt with Miller's scripts. I'm like, I don't know what was going through his mind. Batman saying, goddamn.
It could be punishment. I almost remember this. In the early '90s, Jim Lee did a book. It was during when he, the whole Wildstorm and the whole Image thing. He did a book called Death Blow. Now, if you remember this, Jim Lee pissed off Frank Miller because Jim Lee was aping Miller's Sin City style for Death Blow, and Miller didn't take too kindly to that. So maybe he held a grudge all these years, like, all right, I'm going to make you draw the worst comic ever. It's punishment. It's going to stain your record. So somebody looks up Jim Lee and Batman, you're going to see All-Star Batman and Robin.
You might be right about that.
I wouldn't doubt it, man.
Now, that really was like one of the most polished turds. Like I remember as like a kid, like just looking at the art of the book and being like, this is so beautiful looking, but then you, ugh.
Yeah, it's real unfortunate.
Like when you like have the crush on the girl in high school and she's hot and she's gorgeous, and then you take her out and she like does meth and blows 20 black dudes on the back of like the stadium.
That's the best description I can
Why
have
they
for
got
that
me
book. It's
Why they got me black, man? Why they got me?
Oh, Larry's getting offended.
How dare you? I am offended. No, what they should do is make the All-Star Batman Robin movie, because it can't be any worse than the comic. It can't be any worse. It can only improve.
It's so unfortunate too, because All Star Superman's one of the best books, and then All Star Batman's one of the worst. It's like, we
polar
gotta do
opposites.
something with our brand. Yeah, polar opposites.
Yeah,
Polar opposites. So
yeah, that comic book right there killed off the All-Star line. Well, not really, because what's his name? Scott Snyder kind of did All-Star Batman, but that one also tanked for Rebirth.
Yeah, they were throwing everything at the wall at first, but at least with regards to Batman. So yeah, one thing earlier we were talking, or at least I was talking a little bit about Justice League No Justice. So they do destroy Brainiac's planet. In that, I double checked. It blows up. A lot of the people escape on ships and stuff, but yeah, his planet's gone. So, Bob, you haven't talked in a bit. What's another book? You talked to us about Red Robin. Have you got another one?
It's I don't expect a lot of people to actually know it, but Johnny the Homicidal Maniac. It was put out.
Oh, I know that.
Yeah,
Yes.
I do too.
Written by Jonan Vasquez and put out by Slave Labor Comics. See, a lot of people would just look at the title and be like, okay. But it's actually a really deep comic, and he talks a lot about a lot of social problems, and it's really hard to explain without someone having read the comic. But like, I normally don't like the black and white, but it fits this comic so well. And like little things like the I guess the public service announcements, like they were funny. Like everything in this book was just well done. I think it's Happy Noodle Boy, where he's just screaming obscenities and everything. But he's kind of like that guy on the street corner with the sign "The end is near," and you're like, he says that one thing that's kind of true, and that kind of gets you hooked. That's Happy Noodle Boy.
Oh, I forgot about Happy Noodle Boy. It was like a little comic within the comic, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then there was like Mr. Consume or something, one of the little guys with the shirt. It's been so long since I read that. I've read the first like 5 or 6 issues though.
Got the entire director's cut graphic novel, dude.
Wow, it's thick too. I didn't realize.
Oh yeah.
Is the whole thing black and white?
Yeah. I've read it so many times that the pages are kind of falling out, so I got to be careful.
Cool. Oh yeah, it's from the. I mean, if people don't know, did you say it's from the Invader Zim creator?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Like,
Cool. That's a good pick. I did not see that one coming. That's good. Really violent, but it's still like, I don't know. It's good.
It's violent, yes, but at the same time, it wasn't just violence for the sake of violence. You could tell Jonan was trying to make a point with the violence. It was basically pointing out how this is pretty much what society has devolved into. If you catch what he was trying to say, like we went from only time people used violence was for a purpose, but then it became people just were becoming violent to be violent again. Guess you could say the resurgence of the barbarian, if you will.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Did you have any thoughts on it, Kale, or anyone?
I mean, I read it in like 2005, 2006, and I was like stoned out of my mind. So it's kind of, I mean, it's
a
rough.
blur.
I remember the art, and it just, I watched Invader Zim afterwards.
And speaking of Invader Zim, we're about to have the return of Invader Zim with a new movie.
I mean, they say that a lot, but are they actually going to do it this time?
I think so. I will do a quick search, but I do believe that's actually happening.
It's like, just do a Kickstarter and get it out there. I mean, it wouldn't be that hard.
Well,
It has a pretty big fan
Well,
base.
that's the thing. Then they did the Reading Rainbow Kickstarter or whatever. Then they actually did it. And they're like, oh, we actually didn't want this. He's old. Oh my god.
Oh. They had Lamar Burton again. The Reading Rainbow guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got him back.
Yeah.
they got
They're
the
just-
story back.
They got LeVar Burton's cheaper cousin, Lamar Burton.
Oh, yeah, right. I'm bad with names.
he played Chorty, not Geordie, on Star Trek.
They didn't hit one of their stretch goals, so they had to get the
Yeah.
cousin.
Lamar Burton, he works down at the Citgo pumping gas. He's like,
This is from Sci-Fi Wire, so grain of salt. But Doom, the voice of Invader Zim, teases upcoming movie and reveals why the show is canceled. But I will post
Can
a
you
link. in the
imagine
chat.
still being asked those fucking questions about 20 years after it was canceled? Like, bro.
how do you think the Quantum Leap people feel? Did Sam Beckett ever leap home?
No! It said he never did!
Exactly.
Aren't they doing a Quantum Leap reunion? Oh, I can't post the link in chat. Then I'll post it in the Hangouts chat so you can post it, DC.
Sure.
There you go.
Cool. That was a good pick. Kale, you had? Did you have two or?
Well, I said
One.
I said Hush, but that I mean I know it's flaws, but it's almost like the ultimate guilty pleasure kind of comic because it has just it has the last really good Jim Lee work. I feel like the designs of a lot of characters, specifically Catwoman, like they ended up using that design a lot going forward. I mean it. But if I were to actually say like one that I actually read, oh man, now you've got me kind of dizzy here.
Well, with
Yeah,
Hush, did you see they're going to do an animated movie for that one?
Yeah, I did, but it'll probably suck.
I don't know.
I mean, because I feel like for the purpose of it being a comic, like it's just really fast, really fun to read, has nice art. It's like totally non-consequential. It's kind of like it was just a really fun read, and I don't know if that will translate that well to an hour and a half. It'll probably just seem really bloated. I mean, the comic itself was just really bloated.
I guess we'll see.
I mean, I would say Watchmen 2, but I mean that's kind of played out at this point.
Yeah, we'd probably all say Watchmen, I would think.
Mhm.
I mean, who doesn't love the Watchmen?
It's like it's expected at this point. So it's like, wow, you really like Air? Yes. Like, ooh,
I love
what?
it. It is
I mean,
like
that might be extreme, but you know what I'm saying? It's like kind of like that.
that is like the one book that unites everyone. They're just like,
I'm
oh,
surprised no one has said Arkham Asylum though.
Serious wasn't serious.
The best thing about that, it inspired a Spanish fan film that is visually based almost exactly like Dave McKean's art and that. And it's weird and it's visually striking. I'm like, I wish DC, Warner Brothers, like brave enough to do a movie looking like that. Because the story itself, I mean, thankfully without the story, we wouldn't have, the Arkham series games, but the story, it never really, I think because it was focusing too much on the madness and it feels like an indie book. Like you just take Batman out of it. And it didn't really click with me at the time, and it still kind of really doesn't. It doesn't work as a Batman book for me. It's a Vertigo book. It's basically a Vertigo book that Batman cameos in.
Yeah,
I just the problem I had with it was it didn't really have a plot. It was just really weird
Stuff that
kind
happened.
of art. Yeah, like I mean, it was almost like kind of just a fever dream of just convoluted and complex art, and without a lot. If you really look deep into it, there's really not a lot there.
It's
Yeah,
very
basically
weak
an
storytelling
Amadeus
wise.
Arkham origin book. If you think about it. because right, it focused more on Amadeus than it did on Batman.
Yeah. And that was another book where I felt like the ending kind of just it ended. It didn't really
do anything.
Yeah. So that was my issue.
That was the early days of Grant Morrison. He was definitely, trying out a lot of things.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So, Larry, I think you've only had one pick so far. What else you got?
What else I got is I'm breaking ranks. Well, kind of, sort of. X-Men: God Loves, Man Kills. Not only did it inspire, I'd be like most people's favorite X-Men film, which X2, I guess, until Days of Future Past came out, whatever. But this has the idea of, these Reverend Stryker, who was formerly in the military, his, wife gave birth to a mutant, he becomes radicalized, and he has purifiers going around, and this horrifying sequence where this young boy and his sister, and these purifiers kill the boy, and then his sister is like, why would you do this before, like the girl gets shot in the face by these purifiers, like, because you exist. And it's really horrifying. This is the panel where Reverend Stryker's pointing at Nightcrawler, you call this thing human? And it's, you understand you kind of get behind the madness, and in that sickness of the hatred and the vitriol. And like, this is kind of, it's X-Men boiled down into one coherent story. And it's like where you're rooting for Magneto to just start killing everybody. But, of course that doesn't happen, which did, because Magneto can just go around just like flechette rounds everywhere, just like taking bits of a playground for Magneto would be a playground for him, definitely. He could take there's a teeter-totter just like flying through a group of guys running away, just like decapitating them, cutting them in half, all this horrible stuff. But it's this idea of fighting, you not only fighting violence, but fighting that hatred within each and every one of them. And it's really good. It's like, I know they released it in a hardcover, but I picked up the original graphic novel that they put out in the 80s. And since it's a graphic novel, part of the Marvel graphic novel line, it is more violent and like much more, because there's no comics code, because it was not a standard comic. Magazines, graphic novels were not subject to the comics code, so they can get away with a lot more. So if you're an X-Men fan and haven't read it, you really need to.
That's awesome. Not a big Marvel guy, but I do like the X-Men, probably the best of the Marvel stuff. Like, I have Marvels, just that short miniseries by Kurt Busiek. Marvels, Alex Ross art, and that had a X-Men issue, and I thought that was really a cool story. I liked it a lot. The X-Men can be real endearing.
Yeah, I think if there was a rumor that who was it?
Chris Claremont?
For the guy, no, for the story that Larry's talking about, I think there's a rumor that what's that artist's name? Oh, Neil Adams was actually supposed to do the art, but something came up, or he just didn't want to deal with Marvel anymore. I could be wrong, but in my opinion, if Neil Adams,
he was too busy doing Skate Man over at
yeah, yeah. I think if Neil Adams,
Brent Anderson, who went on to do the Astro City stuff, and his stuff is, to me, is much better. He's in that same vein as Neil Adams, but Brent Anderson's a much better artist to me, stable artist, because the faces don't get really weird and wonky, like So, yeah.
Oh yeah, Astro City is wonderful, but for some reason I don't really like his art for that X-Men story. In my opinion, if like Neil Adams had done it, I feel like I would have really enjoyed that story more. But I'm crazy about X-Men too, so I have like a bunch of books, and the Chris Claremont run is just fascinating.
That's awesome, man. I think, isn't Wolverine's like your favorite character? I remember you were telling me, at least on the Marvel side.
Yeah, both Daredevil and Wolverine on the Marvel side, and for DC is Batman, Nightwing, and Batwoman. They're my number one.
That's cool. Really like the brawler characters, huh? Good picks.
Yeah,
Good picks.
I've always liked
Yeah.
the street level a lot. Although Superman is my second favorite. So yeah.
That's cool. He definitely works on the street sometimes, even if he's not street level per se. So, I guess it's my pick, huh?
Yep.
So many to choose from. There's lots of good choices. I'm gonna go with Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Good choice.
That's a good one.
Oh, I
Yeah.
haven't read that in so long.
Oh, right. That's definitely one that you can reread because it's
Oh, yeah.
very dense. It was one of my first loves for comics in a way because I didn't read all the stuff that came before it and kind of led up to the Crisis. I just read it. So there was so many characters that I didn't have to, but I decided to look up because I'd read along and I'm like, okay, they sent the heroes back to World War II era and they have to put up these, towers and you find out about Sergeant Rock, for example. So you look up Sergeant Rock and you might not know about him. And there was just maybe a dozen characters or so by the time I got to the end where I was like, oh, who's this? And you'd look them up and learn more. And it was just really kind of an eye-opening experience. I know in a lot of ways the Crisis events can be too dense for people, but if you really take the time to look everything up, it can be awesome. So that was kind of my experience with it. Plus, too, the scope of it, the scale being so tremendous, but still being able to compact that. I know they left a couple loose threads, which led to a couple other crises, but I still thought they did a really good job. I didn't get to the end and be like, well, so what's up with Donna Troy? It's almost like they overdid it with their concerns about what wasn't resolved, the few characters. But overall, yeah, I really like it. I think it's Marv Wolfman's best writing that I've read. I read one of his more recent comics and I was like, maybe this guy needs editing because was it that Raven, Daughter of Darkness?
Oh yeah, the very unfortunate book that has no direction.
I really wanted to like that comic because the character is cool and the covers are amazing, and I liked Marv Wolfman's writing, but I was just like, maybe don't get someone who's 75 to write a teenage girl comic. I don't know, it just didn't fit. But anyways, Crisis, really great. It's one of those must reads.
Oh, yeah.
What
It's
do
the
you
book that made me a DC fan. I actually was
really?
a really hardcore Marvel. Even though my first comic was Batman comic, though I was X-Men, mainly X-Men books throughout the 90s, and then I picked up a few Batman books No Man's Land and everything, and Nightwing and stuff like that occasionally. Very spotty, because mainly it was X-Men. That's what I spent my money on. And then read Crisis on Infinite Earths, so it introduced. I knew some of the characters, mainly from the cartoons or what have you, some issues and flea markets or whatever. And then it just got me into it. And so I was hardcore DC for many years, and and then kind of moderate for both. And then, then I went after all that, kind of made my rounds through the Marvel and DC universe. That's when I eventually started getting into indie comics like American Flag, Nexus, Badger, Love and Rockets, stuff like that. Very kind of more independent, definitely independent compared to DC Marvel. But yeah, it is a super dense story. So if you're used to decompression, where 2 pages, 2 issues, it feels only two pages of Crisis on Infinite Earth is almost the equivalent of 2 issues of a standard DC comic. It's
it really can be, especially if you have to look up.
Because there's a comic strip at the bottom too. There's some of the issues had the comic strip at the bottom, so you got 2 issues worth of content basically. George
Perez put in some work drawing that,
and Jerry Ordway too. You don't forget him because Jerry Ordway was backup penciler too.
Yeah. Jerry Ordway is great. His Power Shazam series. Oh my god,
that was really good.
Yeah,
that was really good.
It's the way to do it. So yeah, Crisis. Whose turn is it? Does anyone know?
I guess we're back to
No.
me.
Yep.
Wait,
Okay, go for it.
Did we
All
skip
right,
Larry
yeah.
again?
No. I'm good.
I think we're back to either THO then or Nerdette.
I think it was THO then me.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
cool.
believe.
Yeah, go ahead.
For me, it would probably be the Exo Manowar Armor Hunter storyline. That would have to be one of my favorites.
Valiant,
It's a Valiant book.
always good. That's one of the newer ones, like
Yeah, it's one of
2013
the newer
on.
ones. It's like I think it happened right after the Unity storyline, but it built off everything that happened in Planet Death. So what happened was like an alien ship is hovering right over Earth, and they think it's the Vine again. So the U.S. sent Eric Dacia Exo Manowar into space to check it out, and it turns out to be some alien infected with half of the Shanhara armor, the Exo Manowar armor that he wears, and it kind of expands on the armor's origins for a bit. Like it wasn't originally from the Vines world. It's actually like some sort of ancient alien armor created that doesn't just bond with the user, that it slowly takes over. And the Armor Hunters, basically like these group of aliens who had their world destroyed by those infected by the armor, come to Earth to quarantine and then decontaminate the planet, which in other words is destroy the entire Earth. It's kind of cool because it brought a lot of the Valiant characters together. I mean, it was mainly an Exo story, but it really introduced me to a lot of the Valiant characters too, other ones.
Really? Would it be a good one to like start with?
Start with not really. I probably, if you want to get into Valiant characters, I'd probably start off with the Valiant the 4-issue series done by Jeff Lemire and Matt Kindt. But Armor Hunters is really what got me into those other books, for me at least.
Okay, cool. Anybody else?
I absolutely love Valiant comics, especially like since the relaunch in 2012.
Yeah.
I tried to read some of the 90s stuff, but let's just say that I wasn't crazy about it. Like my most favorite Valiant characters are Bloodshot, Ninjak, Exo Manowar, Rai, Eternal Warrior. You know, I can go on and on.
Oh yeah,
I definitely.
good ones.
I try to read all of those. But yeah, man, I recommend Valiant to everybody in here and like all the people listening to us. At least the relaunch, current Valiant.
Yeah, they always come up as being a great company.
Hurting
the
first issues for like $10. The first collections for $10 each. So great way to jump into a book, to a series. Actually, it's much cheaper than buying individual issues.
Yeah.
But yeah.
They're actually going to release an Exo Compendium for new readers sometime in August, September. So if you're new to it, you can pick it up for like around $50-$60, and that's for like 40 issues of content, including writer's notes from Robert Venditti, like interviews and what else? And also concept art, like what they had, like some of the ideas they had for Exo Manowar. So definitely a good pickup.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
I would recommend. This is gonna be a little bit weird. I would recommend checking out InStockTrades.com. You can definitely get a lot of books for cheap, as opposed to like Amazon and all those other places.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of stories that are like 45 or 50% off, like regular price, like new books. And that
That's
Exo Manowar Compendium is like, right now it's like $37 or something.
Wow, that's a good deal for 40 issues of content.
Yeah.
$1 an issue.
Yeah.
So yeah, in Stock Trades, sponsor DC Fans United, please. I'm just kidding.
Nice. They should. They can pay me in trades.
Yeah.
Heck yeah, man.
Yeah, that's a good shout out. You know, people always bring up Valiant and talk about what a great company they are. Like they focus on quality, they hire really talented people. All the art, you know, I haven't read them. but all the art and artists I've seen that work on them, they don't mess around.
Yeah. A lot of the DC guys are actually from Valiant. Like Robert Venditti, he did the original Exo Manowar run in 2012.
DC is kind of like a talent.
Yeah.
Like they steal all the talent. That's what they do.
Clayman also works for DC too, and he used to do the work for Ninjak with Matt Kent.
Yeah.
Oh, and they also got Jeff. They also got Jeff Lemire, man. Lemire,
Jeff
whatever.
Lemire's like everywhere. No, he's not just.
Oh yeah.
The DC, he's like everywhere.
Is Black Hammer Image?
No, I think that's Dark Horse, I believe.
Oh, okay. He is everywhere though.
Yeah. Jeff Lemire does have a few Image titles. Yeah, like Descender and some other stuff.
Okay.
It's definitely like my top 5 favorites, like modern writers.
He's really good. He's doing, what is it, Terrifics as well?
Yeah, he's still doing Terrifics.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know what else he might be doing for DC. I saw something on their website, but I could be wrong. Like something new coming up.
Yeah, he's doing a few things, but I can't remember offhand.
I know he's finishing up his Bloodshot run in Valiant.
Nice.
I wouldn't mind Jeff Lemire replacing Tom King or Bendis. That's all I'm saying.
Oh no,
Yeah,
Jeff
I wouldn't
Lemire would
mind.
definitely write a good Batman story.
Yeah.
Anyone would be better than Bendis.
I was about to say, everyone's kind of pissed at Bendis, especially since Super Sons is like one of my favorite books.
Yeah. That was a fan favorite. It always would come up.
Oh yeah, and of course DC has to follow in Marvel's footsteps and be like, we're gonna go woke and then go broke.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, Bendis stopped trying at writing great stories. Like, I think it's been like 8 years now. That dude just doesn't give a crap anymore.
That's really a shame.
All right,
That's too
go to
bad.
Nerdette for for best graphic novels.
Oh yeah.
All right, moving on.
You there, Nerdette?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah. THO put you on the spot. You're getting to pick.
It's hard to hear. Okay. Did anyone say Flashpoint Paradox or Judas Contract?
No, not yet.
They're both out there still.
I guess I would have to say Judas Contract just because the storyline's really good. I like how they introduced Tara. And it kind of makes waves for a lot of the relationship between the Titans and Deathstroke. I haven't read it in a long time, but it's a good solid read. I mean, it's old, it's really old, but
that's what I was gonna say. It's good to have a shout out for a little bit older book. I like George Perez art.
I think it came out like in 1979 or 80, like a long time ago, but it's really, really good. I think it was George Perez, I want to say.
Yep.
It's been a long time.
Wolfman. The creators, yep.
Yeah, that one is definitely one for somebody that wants to, read up on the Titans or start on the Titans even.
Absolutely.
I don't have much to say about new Titans, Teen Titans, especially with pedophile Slade Wilson.
Oh yeah.
That's just my opinion. Like, I've never been a fan of like Marv Wolfman. I honestly don't know why. I try to read a lot of his stories, and I'm like, man, this guy is not good at all. So that's why I respect everybody who loves his stuff, but I just couldn't get into his Teen Titans.
It might just be Crisis on Infinite Earths. I don't know if it's the editing or what. Like, I really love that book, but yeah, he's definitely not as good on some of his other stuff.
Yeah, I haven't read the original Infinite Crisis in years. I definitely gotta pick it up again because I do love George Perez's art.
Yeah. Man, there's too many Crisis.
I want to say that if they didn't make Deathstroke like a pedophile and whatever, then I would have probably enjoyed that story way more. Because Tara is just
They
Yeah,
cleaned that
Terra,
up
she's just like
in the animated movie.
Yeah,
They're just Deathstroke's
Terra's an
just-
asshole. It's funny how Terra is an asshole, and yet when she dies, the Titans are like, "Oh, we're gonna build a sculpture in memory of her." Like, okay,
I'd build one just so I could throw stuff at it, so I could just like spit on it when I walk by. Just like
Oh,
get
yeah.
angry. Like, it's like like when like these like ball players, like football players, there's something they tap on their way out to the field. It'd be like I'd spit on that on the way out to a battle, just like screw you, Terra. Geoforce is watching and weeping. My sister.
yeah.
Poor
She did
Geoforce.
nothing. That's my sister.
I mean, that's all I gotta say. I don't wanna be all negative about Marv Wolfman and anything
Oh, that's all good.
because he did co-create what's his name, Vigilante or something like that.
He co-created Deathstroke, which basically means he
Yeah.
co-created Deadpool. With George Perez.
Yeah.
Also,
I do like Vigilante a lot. That's a kind of he's like a bit underrated in my opinion. Although they do use him in the Arrow, whatever, the last season, whatever.
hey, hard copy. You there? Looks like you're muted.
Okay.
Oh, there
you
he
hear me?
is. Yep.
Sorry about
How
that.
you doing?
Good.
We've got hard copy joining us all the way from Australia. How you doing, bro?
G'day, mate.
Cool.
Nobody
Glad
talks
you
like
could
that.
make it.
Those
What are you
koalas
guys
and those
talking about?
toucans are really coming in handy.
You hear us okay?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, we're just talking about favorite graphic novels.
I'm
Oh,
falling
okay.
asleep, so I'll probably sign off.
Taking off, Kale.
Yeah, I'm falling asleep.
Take it easy, dude.
It was nice talking
Yeah,
to you
man.
guys.
Thanks
Nice
for
to
stopping
meet
by.
you.
Bye bye.
Yeah.
Bye bye.
Oh,
See ya.
one down, one comes in. That kind of balanced out well. Yes, there's balance in the force still,
A new challenger has entered.
right? So, you got a favorite graphic novel or one you want to talk about? Hard copy?
Oh, all right. You saw the picture I sent you, DC, didn't you, of my graphic novel collection?
Yeah, there was a lot there to choose from.
That was only a small part of it.
Select part.
Agents of Hate. I think I've read that a million times. I had 2 copies of that at one point.
Huh?
Agents of Hate. It's a Marvel series.
Yeah, Warren Ellis, Store Eminem. It is basically a bunch of BC D-listers, which unfortunately they lumped Monica Rambeau, the real Captain Marvel, not the
Yeah.
but they lumped her in there along with X-51, the Machine Man, and it's really fun. And people say
It's
like,
really good.
would you say that that's the first SJW Marvel comic? Because I've heard that before, and that's BS. I feel it's
I wouldn't
BS.
say that.
What people
I
say,
wouldn't
like,
say that.
well, it's like I've heard people say, "Oh, that's Warren Ellis putting SJW agenda." This is the idea. That stuff's gone insane. When you like to look at that book, and if you want to say anything, that's like taking Silver Age concepts and bringing it over to Marvel, because Marvel really never had that. Over the top insanity that was the Silver Age, but fighting multiple MODOKs, Elvis MODOKs. Oh, hey King. So yeah, it's great. It's fun.
I never heard that before.
Yeah, I've heard it a
Wow.
couple of times on Twitter and via YouTube videos.
And the other of my favorite is probably Dark Knight Returns, because I've probably read that a million times too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We were talking about Frank Miller a little bit earlier.
But I go in and out of phases. I was into was it Ghost? Remember Ghost?
Yeah.
For a while, and I actually remember what was it called? Dark Claw?
Ghost?
Dark Hawk?
Ghost had a crossover with Shadow. The Shadow?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I remember
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
that.
I don't know.
The story. that's a social justice warrior comic book if you ever want to read one.
No,
I mean, it's not as bad as nowadays.
recent Dynamite in the miniseries. That one. Not the old school stuff, but the more recent one. The old Blood and Judgment Shadow, which is Howard Chaykin, written and illustrated by Howard Chaykin, where the bad guy has AIDS and is like, don't worry, the Shadow is going to kill us. Don't worry, you already have AIDS. You're going to die from it anyway. I'm like, what? No! It's great. It's great. I love it. The fact that Shadow just like, instead he's like, 45s are great, but Mac 10s are much better.
It's the way to do it.
Okay.
Exactly.
Shadow uses a Tommy gun sometimes.
Yeah. He uses whatever firepower he needs for the mission.
He's so great. Like, if I were to rank my top 5 characters, like, across all media, Shadow would be in the top 5 for sure.
I've got some old comics. I'm not that old. Sorry, Kyo.
No, that's all I was going to say. I just love the Shadow.
And I was just going to say, I'm probably the only person that actually liked the Alec Baldwin Shadow movie.
No, that's a great film. I have that on Blu-ray. I picked it up on Blu-ray.
Not brilliant.
It's really
it's
not
fun, but it's not brilliant.
I mean, it could be better in some ways, but especially being from the early 90s. I rewatched it not too long ago, and it's not that bad. I wish they'd focused more on they just didn't have the special effects for a lot of it, but it's pretty close to the canon.
Well, the one I got a couple of his shoes of Shadow. Oh, sorry, I can't hear you.
Yeah?
Oh, sorry. I got a couple of older ones where he doesn't have any of his powers. He's just like a guy who kills gangsters and stuff.
Yeah. He just wears disguises and stuff.
Yeah, and he was fighting this guy from China. He was like a warlord.
Oh, okay. It's probably before he gets his powers. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Not that old, but...
If I remember right, that version of the Shadow is actually based off of the old serials from back in the day. Like, the actual go to the theater and see them type serials is what I'm referring to.
Yeah.
Oh, the artwork's really good.
Didn't he originate as a radio program?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, and then serials.
He was a bumper though. That's the thing. He was a bumper, and it was the shadow. It's like if the Crypt Keeper got his own. If it was just focused on nothing but the Crypt Keeper, the Shadow was supposed to be like the bumper, like to introduce like other detective stories. And it's like the Shadow knows, haha. And then it's like, hey, we want whole story. So they just made them up as they went along, and that's Chandler, one of the main, the main dude. But yeah, it's like this. It was kind of like fans clamored like, we need to know more about this guy, and so that's basically what happened.
That's awesome.
Well, I'm reading this at the moment.
I hear a bag rustling.
Oh, my ugly face.
Oh.
There we go. I'm reading. So if you can see
that's awesome. Looks like a Michael Cho cover, probably.
Nice.
I think so. Yeah. Yeah. So it's actually really cool.
That is really cool.
Yeah.
Does it
I'm hoping to get
start?
the second part once I finish. Yeah, right at the beginning, the first Batman story. Yeah.
It's like Detective Comics 27 or whatever.
Yep.
First. Okay, cool. That's
the
awesome.
Shadow knows.
The Shadow knows. Yeah.
Oh wow.
So yeah, so far it's really cool. It's got a very Phantom vibe to it.
Yeah.
I love the Phantom.
Yeah. The Ghost
the
War.
Phantom. That's another underrated hero.
And another underrated movie.
I never did see that.
Oh, it's Billy Zane, a couple other people I can't remember off the top of my head, but I thought it wasn't that bad of a movie. I thought they did a fairly decent job presenting a good superhero movie that you really don't see in a lot of at the time. That's the best way to put it.
All those 90 films had amazing, what do you call it, backgrounds and freaking set. Remember the Judge Dredd movie?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, terrible movie.
Matte painting stuff.
Oh, man. Yeah.
I am
All right,
the law.
I learned the law.
He only was in there, had the helmet on for 15 minutes. They couldn't even go more than 15 minutes before they had to take the helmet off because I gotta show my face because I act my face. Like,
Well, get this.
dumb
He didn't
man.
want to do that though. He wanted to keep the helmet on, but it was the actual producers in the studio that wanted him to take the helmet off. He wanted
that's
to
the
leave the
case.
helmet on.
It's like with Joel Schumacher's like, blame me for Batman Forever and Batman and Robin and all this and that. It's like, well, Joel Schumacher's a bad director. Go see Falling Down.
I do.
Go see Lost Boys. Go see Tigerland. You know, like this guy can direct, but it's like he's taking the hit, and it's like, well, the producers, they're the really bad guys because they don't want to paint the star, the guy who got popped for, it's growth hormone, it ain't steroids, it's growth hormone. You know, it's like when he was filming Rambo. You know, he's like flew into Australia and they checked his stuff and like, sorry, pal.
What do you think's worse, Batman and Robin or Batman Forever?
Batman and Robin.
Batman Forever.
Batman and Robin.
Well,
So
Batman
that's
and Robin, of course. Batman Forever, I mean, kind of predicted the internet because everybody's or cell phones, except for the brain box thing, and just everybody's on their cell phone. Like, hey, I'm trying to have a conversation with you. What? Like,
Well, who says Batman Forever?
Well, I'm just saying, like, people blame
Nobody?
Batman Forever.
I say Batman versus Superman is garbage.
Oh.
Yeah, it is. I'm not gonna
What
lie.
is
It
it
is.
worse than Batman
It's
and Robin?
awful.
No, it wasn't. No, I
So
wasn't.
you just
Gadot.
triggered DC.
That's
You
the
just,
only
you
good
just
thing.
triggered
Everyone's-
DC.
I'll
Nah.
give you one line. No one stays good in this world. The fact that Superman said that
Mm.
Yeah.
is the worst thing I've ever heard. Superman never should ever say that.
But here's the difference: you have a world where this is a guy who never tapped into his true potential until he was in his 30s, and the fact that he could break and destroy everything around him. That's why he kept on the move. This is like a world where actions have consequences. Where unlike a comic where you can just whatever. I like that aspect, and it's like, and guess what? Did he stick by those words? He said it, but then he's like, what does he go and do? He goes and sacrifices himself, which is dumb, which is really badly written, but it's like, it's like this idea, like, hey, Superman can't be cynical every now and then like regret it, say something and then he regrets it. Hey, that's human beings for you. Oh, Superman's the ideal for every person. Like, this idea is like, that gets boring really quick. It's like, he's the shining example. Yes, the creature who came here from a dying world, this thing that brings monsters and egotistical madmen who may or may not become president. It's like
I
this.
think Batman v Superman was just like, it needed to come out in 2020. Why did it come out before Justice League? Why did it come out before Aquaman?
Because
or
they don't have to build. They don't have to build a franchise because everybody knows these characters. Everybody's like, "Well, you try to tell me Thor is an amazing movie by itself, and Captain America. Captain America has some good moments. Thor has maybe 2 or 3, especially with the Warriors 3. But overall, the only thing they're there for is why? Who's this guy with blonde hair? Who's this person? Oh, it's Thor. Okay, and nobody cares about Thor. People know Superman. People love Superman." Batman, they just need to throw this stuff in there. It's like they should have just done the Justice League movie outright, like the Justice, have him be around, be like kind of the Justice League Year One a little bit, like recruit Superman for alien battle or something. I don't know.
Well, I liked Batman v Superman personally. I thought it was I think Ben Affleck does a good Frank Miller Batman. And the thing I love the most about Batman v Superman is it gave us the first live-action shot of the Holy Trinity. So, but, you're allowed to have your opinion. I'm just saying I like it.
Even if it's wrong.
There's no going wrong with Gal Gadot. Fight me.
Oh, no.
Everything else was bad.
She can fight me. She can fight me.
She'd probably kill you, dude. Train
Even-
me, kill you, break your neck accidentally.
Yeah, even the actress could
Maxwell
probably
Lord.
kill you.
That's what I'm saying,
Yeah.
Maxwell Lord style.
Yeah. Yeah, she'll kill
Oh,
me.
man. Wonder Woman has done that to Maxwell Lord like multiple times in the comics because she broke his
Actually-
neck, right? and killed him, and then he comes back in Blackest Night as a Black Lantern, and she like twists his head off, basically twists it around backwards, and then she kills him again. I think it's in the Convergence comic. It's like, geez, Wonder Woman, I know you hate Maxwell Lord. It's like in every continuity she kills Maxwell Lord.
And she was reading that Golden Age Batman. You know how many people that Batman kills? And we're not talking indirectly, like, you know, he doesn't save him. He freaking snaps some guy's neck by jump kicking him.
Yeah.
Guy sticking his head out the window with a gun. That's what you don't do in Gotham City. Don't put your head, throwing people into vats of chemicals just for like, that's a fitting in for his kind. I'm like, yeah, do it, dude, do it.
Sometimes you gotta
he kills the Joker in his first appearance, and then he's like, oh well, we need to reverse this.
Right.
He has a fiance in it too.
Just like the Shadow did, or something along those lines, probably.
I know. She's still alive.
All right, fellas. I'm going out now. It's kind of late where I live, so I'll see you guys later.
Thanks for stopping by.
All right, take care, man.
See ya.
You too.
It's nerd. So it is Nerd and Nerdette. I see you guys on Twitter all the time.
Yeah, I kind of live on there.
Old Twitter.
That's what I'm doing
Yeah,
now.
I kind of live on there too.
I keep hearing
Speaking of
too
what's
many
going on.
background sounds. Yeah.
Oh yeah, bad.
Hard copy's
I'm
in
on the
public
train at the
transit.
moment.
Perth. He's in public transit right now, so the magic of the internet.
So
Yeah.
I
Are you on a
finish at
train
work
or a
at 12.
bus?
Train.
Nice.
Yeah. Just traveling.
I just assumed you were running at superhuman speeds.
Not yet.
Oh,
In time.
Oh wow.
Oh, my ugly face again.
wow, all the way from Australia. So you're
That's
in Perth,
crazy.
right?
Yeah. Yep, Perth. There you go.
The magic of
Enjoy the
technology.
I love it.
Wow, you got it to yourself, huh?
Till a gang, till the Warriors show up. Start
Warriors.
come out to
Come out.
play.
hard copy. Come out to play.
Beautiful.
Oh. So I'm thinking about another. Once I collect both Golden Age Batmans, what do you think I should get next? Golden Age Green Lantern?
Wonder Woman.
Golden Age Wonder Woman?
I'd say
Wonder Woman?
Wonder Woman because it is so. Just get the first volume because first volume is pretty much indicative of everything to come after. It is so bizarre. Like one of her villains is a cross-dressing woman who paints on a mustache and wears a turban and like acting like some like Middle Eastern dude. It's really weird and bizarre. It's bizarre. I love it. The Superman one's really good too. The Superman one, the first issue, he jacks the dude up by the crotch and picks him up and carries him up the stairs to prevent an execution. So it's good, but it's not as good as the Wonder Woman, in my opinion. So.
Okay, well, I'm going to get the second part of that Golden Age Batman. Then I think I'll grab Wonder Woman.
Yeah, can't go wrong with Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman's great.
Yeah. Doom Patrol too.
Silver Age Doom Patrol, yeah. Not the modern crap. Not this new.
No, we're talking about the old ones, the omnibus.
Yeah, the Silver Age stuff, yeah.
Oh, okay. What about Grant Morrison's run? Right there?
Yes, but the Silver Age one's much better. The Silver Age Doom Patrol is a far better book than the Grant Morrison one. I know that's sacrilegious in some circles, but I don't care.
No, I like the original.
No, what was sacrilegious is what you said about the Killing Joke.
No, I still stand by it.
Exactly.
I look, somebody, you know that saying, is it the hill you're going to die upon? We'll see. I am Larry King after all, and I will be the king of that hill.
My whole thought is I don't know if you can see it on the webcam, but I'm actually wearing one of my favorite Joker t-shirts. When you're like, I hate the Joker, I'm like,
Oh, he's got the purple gloves too from the Brian Boland.
Cry more for me. Let your salt flow.
Your tears make me stronger.
Your tears make me stronger, fanboy.
You get to know Larry.
That's not overused.
He doesn't like anything.
He's not overused.
I said I like Doom Patrol. I said I like Doom Patrol.
You don't like things that are like popular, I think.
Don't you call me a hipster? Oh, dude, we're gonna have it out, man. We're gonna have it out. We're gonna throw down, boy.
He's a Quintarian.
I think I think you're
Contrary, you mean? I'm gonna say
you're fighting
quintessence,
that walrus.
quintessence or whatever from Transformers. The
Quintecon. You're a
multi-headed being.
quintesson. You're a quintesson. Changes his mood all the time.
Well, I think the deal breaker or whatever, the tiebreaker is going to be Hard Copy's opinion on The Killing Joke.
I like the book. I don't mind the book. I don't think it's the best Joker story.
Oh,
But the movie sucks. The movie sucks.
See, Hard
Yeah.
Copy.
oh, the
This
movie's
is the beginning.
awful.
I will be your American sponsor to get you to the U.S. For that, thank you.
Gonna adopt you.
We're gonna do,
He will. He will.
Daddy.
for $1 a day. For $1 a day, you can adopt your friendly Australian. It may or may not come with a poisonous spider that would eat your face off.
Probably
There's
would.
actually there's a movie, a Chinese movie shot in Australia about killer spiders from Australia.
Well, ain't stopping the Chinese from buying up all your farmlands, that's for sure.
It's got. You guys ever see an Australian movie called Kenny?
No.
I have
No.
not. No.
That blank silence is. No, it's a movie about this. It's about this guy who he cleans toilets and stuff. Like that's his job, and it's just about. It's kind of like a mockumentary, and the guy who's in the Killer Spider movie, he's in that Kenny film. I highly recommend checking it out. It's really good. If you want a slice of Australian culture, check it out. Should be on Netflix.
The only
maybe.
Australian movie I need is The Road Warrior.
Wolf
I
Creek is
pretty
good
much-
too.
That's a
I
mockumentary.
assume Australia is just like The Road Warrior.
Yeah, I'm actually heading home to my big car with its big
Big
engines and all that.
That's the V8
Nice.
Interceptors.
Because you guys never got Mad Max, because there's 3 of them. Although a long time, I think the Americans thought there was only 2 of them.
No, we got Mad Max. Here's the problem. It would play on cable, but this is in the early '80s. It would play on cable because I remember there was a VHS tape, and it was the American dubbed version of Mad Max,
Why?
and it was god awful. It was because it was just it's okay when it's Godzilla because it's a totally different language. They're like, oh, nobody understand these crazies down under. Nobody will get this. So it's like,
They're
I
speaking
understand
English.
that.
No, dub over.
well, they're speaking Australian. That's a big difference. no,
What is-
it's not, producer. No, it's not. But,
What's crikey? What does that mean? Just overdub it.
Just dub it over.
it's so weird to hear instead of hearing I am the Night Rider. I'm the Night Rider. It's like, what? No, don't do that. Please stop doing that. It's like this American version of feeling.
You guys like Mad Max?
I
Like
like
First Mad Max?
I like it.
Yeah,
It's
I like
but
Road Warrior better.
Road Warrior.
Everybody says
better.
that.
I don't dislike the brutality of the first Mad Max, considering it was all done with slabs of beer. Hey, can we knock you off your bike? Sure. If you got a slab of beer, here you go. Here's a slab of beer.
But that was the currency back then. Like,
I think it's still
Well,
currency
you wanna-
now when you think about it.
it is.
It's like I don't
Wanna
got
help me move,
much money
mate?
today, but I do have a slab of beer.
Whatever
I need to
works.
move, mate. A beer, mate? Okay, mate.
Yeah, some people got severely injured making those movies.
Yeah.
Good thing the guy
But
who
you know
directed
what?
it was a doctor, an ER doctor, so he can put you back together. It's like, sorry, I ripped your leg apart. Here you go, I'll fix you up for free.
What do you think of
That was during-
Fury Road?
I love that film. I don't think it's as good as Road Warrior, but it's definitely freaking bloody good film.
Yeah. I don't know. It's so polished, like it's hard to compare the two and say one's better than the other, but I think they're like probably equally good.
Yeah. I think Road Warrior has kind of like its kind of nostalgia edge to it.
Yeah,
'Cause it
for
is-
sure.
Yeah. It inspired Fist of the North Star and all these other things.
All kinds of stuff, like a whole genre.
Yeah.
People just say
Boy
Mad
and
Max.
Dog.
So many 80s
Yeah, we end up-
movies.
Yeah,
Hey,
that's
heavy
true.
heavy metal rockers dressed like Mad Max, like hell, like dressed like Wes from Road Warrior. So, well, you know, with their gay partners riding bitch seat and hissing at them, doing all that stuff. So yeah, interesting times.
They ever do a Mad Max comic book?
Yes, they did. It
Okay.
was actually
They did.
Fury. It was one that ties up everything from Mad Max, Road Warrior, and Thunderdome, and how Thunderdome connects to Fury Road. It's like,
Because that
you know, because
the
here's the thing.
video game was directly after Fury Road.
Well, the video game was supposed to be. They had to reconfigure it during the production and everything because it's supposed to be like a standalone, and then they connected it weirdly to the movie. But the comic says, well, Fury Road, how does he have the V8 Interceptor? Well, here's the thing. All the Interceptors were the same body. The difference was it was the last V8 Interceptor, which means all the previous Interceptors were V6s. This is the only one with a natural V8 engine. So all Max did in the comic was he won a V8 engine and put it in an Interceptor body. And then, of course, it gets wrecked at the beginning of Fury Road. So it's like, that's basically, the big secret. So it's, how did he get the V8 Interceptor and Fury Road? So that's, how he did that.
And in the game, it leads up to you getting back the Interceptor. Because I actually finished it. Shock horror. I keep restarting that game, and then I actually got around to finishing it.
The game plays really well if you listen to both the Fury Road soundtrack and the Road Warrior soundtrack, especially when you're driving after the enemy vehicles. It works really well because the score in the game is not satisfactory enough.
The thing is, not a lot of people like it because it's not a lot of stuff to do in it, but I kind of like driving around. I like seeing the backgrounds and, what this used to be. You see, like, the buildings falling apart and all that. I like that. It's cool.
Kind of a Fallout type game, or no?
Well, even more extreme. Like, what if Fallout was like 50 or 60 years after Fallout 3? Like, everything's just decaying, everything's just disappearing. Everybody's just hanging on for their dear life. So, like, literally, what's the end of the world? It's beyond the end of the world. It's just, because everything's just decaying and there's not enough of anything and everything disappears. And it makes references to that constantly because you're picking up photographs and there's like stuff on the back, and then Mad Max makes a comment about when he sees a picture, and it's really interesting. It kind of fills the lore of the world in, and I like that. It's like really depressing. Like Fallout 4's depressing, but the Mad Max game is even more depressing. If you really want to be depressed while shooting cars with rocket launchers.
Interesting.
Also, one thing, the game was BS because there's a time where he picks up the photo, because I played it, and picked up a photo in his motorcycle. He's like, "What's this?" I'm like, "Dude, the first Mad Max movie had motorcycles. Snow Cutter's gang had motorcycles, you dummy."
I noticed that. Sometimes there's a bit of a break in law, like, because Mad Max has been around before. Which is weird because,
And where did the
it's
ocean
huge
go?
What happened?
Like, water doesn't just vanish; it's got to go someplace. Is there just a giant ice block at the other end of the world or something? It's just a giant block of ice. Did aliens steal the water? Like, what's going on here?
Yes.
Maybe that's what happened.
So, his aliens stole the water. It's the Spaceballs plot, except for instead of air, they steal water.
But no, I like the lore of it, and I like that. I like the kind of really depressing apocalypse.
Could be a good setting.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I gotta interrupt for a second.
Sure.
Oh, sorry.
No, I was just gonna say I gotta go. I'm sorry, it's getting late, but I thank you for having me on.
Absolutely.
I'm glad you were able to make it.
Yeah, thank you. See you later.
Yeah, it was fun. I'll see you.
Yeah.
Take
Bye.
care now.
Okay. It's only the afternoon.
Right.
At 12:30 p.m. over there, it's 12:30 a.m. here. So
Quite a time difference.
Yes.
Do you guys have like complete trade paperback collections of anything?
I'm staring at the complete Max, the complete Wildcats, the complete 10th, the complete Rising Stars, Fathom.
I know Martin has a
right.
lot of books.
Yeah, a lot.
You still with us, Martin?
I think he is dead.
Might be. Might have lost him.
Well, his mouth's all tied up, so.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm here. Sorry,
Oh, hey.
I'm here.
That's cool.
Uh,
Did you have another book you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and mention two, just to speed things up a little bit.
Yeah.
The first one I want to talk about, Death by Neil Gaiman. I have the collected edition, the trade paperback, and it's got various artists. Neil Gaiman, of course, is very well known. He's a master at his craftsmanship. He has he has a ton of awards, and there's a reason for it. I really like his. I have his American Gods as well as his Norse mythology. And yeah, I just love Death by Neil Gaiman. That's my favorite version of Death in all of comic book. And the next one I
It's
want to
that
talk
goth
about
chick.
is what's that?
That's that goth chick, isn't it? Everybody wants to sleep
Yeah.
with.
Originally, yeah, she was like all goth and stuff. And the next one I want to talk about, I like Batman versus Predator, the first one by Dave Gibbons and the Kubert brothers, Andy Kubert and Adam Kubert. I read this book when I was like maybe 11 years old, right after Dark Knight Returns. And I was like, man, this story is like very similar to Predator 2, because it's basically the same storyline, but of course it has a Batman getting his ass whooped by Predator, and then at the end, him and Alfred kick the Predator's ass. And so the Predator, before he leaves, I guess his clan or whatever, like their leader, walks out of their spaceship, and it's like, here you go. So you think they're gonna mess up Batman again, but they're like, nah, we honor you for whooping this guy's ass or whatever.
Man, I need to
And
pick that
yeah.
up then.
They have the Dark Horse, the DC, and like the crossover collection. You can find it on Amazon and other websites. I definitely recommend it. Yeah, I just like the first one the most, though. I think like everything after that one is just kind of meh. And yeah, those are the two books those are the stories I wanted to talk about. Definitely love Death by Neil Gaiman, and of course some of his Sandman. And yeah,
I guess he's going to be back too. They've got a whole Sandman line coming out.
I heard about that. Isn't that new Vertigo line that nobody likes the idea of?
Oh no, it's a different thing. He's getting this whole kind of like where that young animal has their own like imprint. This is all like Sandman imprint stuff.
Yeah, they're like separate. Vertigo's doing its own thing.
I'm not exactly sure if he's actually writing anything new, because he's getting the big bucks. I just think he's letting people work with his toys or whatever.
He's going to be writing some of it, but yeah, it's a whole team of people.
He's dealing with his movie contracts and all that now, isn't he? He's got Omens, Good Omens, and American Gods.
Yeah, he's got the whole television, and he also wrote Coraline or whatever. So yeah, he's got out of the movies.
Wow.
He's got all the movie monies.
Yeah, well, he's not like Mark Miller, but yeah, they're up there doing their thing.
What do we think of Mark Miller and Netflix?
I don't like it because now Netflix's content. Look at their content, their quality of content. For every Narcos season 1 or Stranger Things season 1, we get Stranger Things season 2 or Narcos season 3 or the Death Note movie or like these kind of things. They're known for it's direct to video. We were going from Kingsman 2. I was thinking, oh my god, a Chrononauts movie, like a full blown Chrononauts movie that the Chrononauts comic, which had art by Sean Gordon Murphy, everybody's favorite Batman kind of writer artist. And then we had Super Crooks, and there was Starlight, which is like Flash Gordon, because for some reason there's no Flash Gordon movie that's come out. Starlight's like, oh yeah, sure, Grandpa, you went to space, and you saved the planet, yeah, whatever. And he goes back and he kicks ass because he's still got it in him. And he shows up, and it's kind of like a never-ending story kind of deal. You're not going to get that with Netflix. You're going to get some cuckolding bull. It's garbage. You're going to get garbage programming with Netflix. And you know what? He made it good for Mark Miller. He made money, but by him selling out, he just screwed any chances of having a solid. Because all the Millerverse stuff is all tied up now with Netflix. So yeah. If you enjoyed the Netflix originals previously, just enjoy a much watered down version of all those Miller concepts, which need a bigger budget, grander schemes. But that's how I
definitely.
Yeah, I'm not that crazy. Sorry. I'm not that crazy about Netflix either, but I do want to say that at least Marvel Netflix has been truly enjoyable to me. I like all the Marvel Netflix shows more than MCU personally. But yeah.
That's cool. I haven't kept up with those.
Let's see. The only full season I've caught is the first season of Daredevil. I got halfway through Daredevil season 2. Couldn't get past the second or third episode of Jessica Jones because it was so goddamn boring.
Yeah.
That's that patriarchy talking through you. You're being patriarchal.
Yeah.
You're hating on a strong woman who drinks,
white boy,
and has promiscuous sex and has no morals and is a miserable human being that probably
doesn't grow at all.
Yeah.
No, my whole thing is Jessica Jones. I feel the way they did it, they should have started out with her being, I think Jewel was her superhero name.
Yep, that's it.
And then had first few couple episodes starts out with her, then they go through what happens to her, then they flash forward to where they are there. This way you're not constantly having the flashback, because I think it's a waste of David Tennant. I'm not a Doctor Who fan, but I like David Tennant. I think he's a good actor, because literally you'll see him in movies and be like, that's David Tennant.
Yeah, he's a great Purple Man.
He was too good for that. They wasted him on a character that it's Bendis's baby. She's Bendis's baby, and she's got no character. All she did was screw Luke Cage.
Characters.
Yeah, she screwed Luke Cage, got knocked up, and she's a self-insert. So he could take his original OC, please don't steal, and put her on the Avengers. Yeah, so that's it. That's been, and Bendis is gone. I'd kill her off. If I had my way, I'd kill her off. Luke Cage go back to wearing the yellow silk shirt and the tiara and the chain belt. Cracking skulls, where my money, honey? Boom! There you go. The Power Man is back. Sweet Christmas, yeah.
Sweet Christmas.
The good old days, huh?
Well, my whole thing is, I don't have a problem with Jessica Jones. I think the idea of a super-powered private investigator is kind of an interesting concept. I just feel that the way they did her series was just boring. They could have, like I said, if they started with her being a superhero, then her going, basically meeting...
Rock bottom.
Yeah, pretty much. They could have done so much more with that first season to drag you in, but they wanted to go for virtue points and signaling SJWs to watch their show, and it's like, alright, this is why I stopped reading Marvel.
Daredevil's the only good Netflix series.
I hate to say it, but you're probably right, because I've only been able to catch a couple episodes of Luke Cage, and I didn't bother with Iron Fist or the Defenders.
Defenders was a waste of time. Defenders was an absolute waste of time. The first season of Luke Cage, I enjoyed. If they would have cut it down to 8 episodes, condense it, it's blaxploitation. It's like straight up.
and not kill
Yeah.
Cottonmouth.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing.
Oh, yeah.
They screwed up. It's like that's the Marvel movies and everything else has a problem with villains. They always like, well, what do we do with the villain? Oh, let's kill him off, or they put him in, they lock him up like Abomination. Abomination's such a great villain, but what do? He's like locked up, and you're not seen him in a decade. So it's like, what? What have you done, people?
Yeah.
And they
Good
have
luck
Well,
with
that
it.
means that
Good luck with
prison system's working
Abomination.
better than Arkham's.
well, and the oh, I can't remember the dude's name, like Mastermind or something like that. From the Incredible Hulk movie as well.
Yeah.
The
Yeah, he
leader,
never came back.
the leader, yeah.
The leader, yeah.
They haven't brought him back. And it's like that was another wasted opportunity. Like, you guys could have done so much with these characters to where they could have had a lot more, I guess you could say, a lot more interesting interactions with the villains, make it to where you're seeing the villains start to form a cabal. Like, they could have brought back Red Skull. You know, they could have brought back so many different people and had...
Masters of Evil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, what are you doing, Marvel? You're worried so much about building up to Thanos and the Infinity War, but
Yes.
you're completely missing what could be building in the background to, once the Infinity War is done, oh, here's your next big group, and these guys have been building in the background the whole time, and like hinting at it with the final scenes and things like that.
Yeah, they
It's
should have
like,
gone. Well, here's the thing: Marvel has never been a cosmic thing. That's more of a DC deal. So then they should have gone with the Masters of Evil, not necessarily invading. Go bigger than just them invading the mansion and beating everybody up and all that stuff. But go like, hey, we've defeated these villains, but these villains eventually get together and they attack the heroes in force. And so it's just like that right there would have been an amazing movie, and more amazing than, oh, I gotta get these magic, gotta collect them all, gotta get these magic gems and wipe away half the universe. Why? Reasons. And they don't even go into the fact that Thanos, who's a deviant colonel, who's from Titan. His father was an Eternal, and he looks like a deviant, and he loved death because he belonged to neither world. And the fact that he was courting death, it's like, baby, what can I do for you? And she's not answering, she's not responding. He's like, all right, I'll kill the universe for you. I'll love you so much. Let me kill people for you. And that right there, you don't even get that. You get reasons. I'm gonna snap my finger. This like stupid, dumbed down child. Like anybody could understand the Masters of Evil, but no, we got a reason.
can I ask hard copy? Can you mute, please? Because I can't hear anyone else.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you.
Oh, wow. Yeah, there was a lot of noise from your walking, so I should have said sooner.
That's what I was trying to say like half an hour ago. Sorry,
My
yeah.
bad.
But
Yeah, I should have said something.
no, please, Larry, go through that again because I caught.
No, all I was saying is like it's easier to understand Masters of Evil, getting those together, uniting villains that normally like, hey, Abomination get taken out by Hulk. What if Abomination attacks Captain America? What if Abomination attacks Hawkeye? And then so on and so forth. Crimson Dynamo, Justin Hammer, the Mandarin, the real Mandarin, what they've done nothing with. They did that short film, but they've nothing with Mandarin since. These ideas are make much more sense than having, Thanos, which is to me is one of the more boring characters in the Marvel universe because it's not a Marvel character, it's a DC character in the Marvel universe, and then going through that aspect with a cosmic story with characters. Marvel characters are, at the end of the day, they're street level. Even the more cosmic things like Marvel. Oh, he's a dude who gets cancer and eventually dies. These concepts. So when you're dealing with grand god, these deviant eternal like Thanos, and I want to destroy half the universe because I'm in love. It's dumber than, hey, we got our asses kicked. Let's team up because they teamed up and they kicked our ass. We team up and kick their ass, and that makes much more sense than going about like Masters of Evil would have been a much more interesting movie. How great would it see Abomination throwing Titanium Man at Hulk? And the Titanium Man, because of the way he's built up or something, he's able to like slobber knock the Hulk. and then get the Hulk off balance, and then you have somebody like Yellow Jacket fly inside Hulk's ear and start vaporizing his brain cells. Like, I mean, yes, give me that film. I don't want, if you give me CGI, whatever CGI slugfest, make it interesting.
Oh yeah, not to mention they could have brought in people like Absorbing Man again, because they only touched on him briefly with the first season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Like, they could have kept him around, brought him back in, and had him, like, absorb vibranium or absorb the metal that Mjolnir's made out of, like, and then control lightning and everything. Like, they could have done so much more with these characters, but they were what happened is they got tunnel vision. They were so worried about, Thanos and Infinity War, and one thing that they only hinted at the end of the Avengers movie, the whole bit where the messengers, like, anyone who attacks Earth is courting death, and then Thanos gives that big shit-eating grin. It's like, they could have done so much more, flushed out the characters so much more, but like you said, they just they went with Thanos, and it ended up just being like, I haven't even seen Infinity War, just because I'm like, I know they're not going to do it right. Like, everyone who said that's great, like, most of them are people who didn't grow up reading comic books. They're just people who got into comic books because it's trendy. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, it's the kind of the fake geek kind of thing. It's a little bit in that regard, but my biggest thing is it's the weakest story Marvel, like the weakest big / great story. Secret Wars makes more sense than, because Secret Wars is about a bunch of people working together that you think work together well, and then the villains got to work together to beat them, like that kind of thing. That makes more sense. But then when, Thanos in the comics battled the Avengers more than once, he got his ass kicked. Then he went like, you know what, you want to do the Infinity Gauntlet, like 15, 20 movies down the line, that's fine. But then do like the biggest story, the universe-altering story, and maybe they're doing that so that they can like basically pull a Crisis on Infinite Earths, so they can bring in the X-Men and the Fantastic Four and like redo the universe with new actors, because others are aging out, or they're being too costly, or they're out. You're like, all right, you don't want to get paid this certain amount that we agreed to 10 years ago. Fine, we'll get somebody else. We'll cast them in Captain America.
That's actually really smart, since they do have to do all those things.
Well, it's not just that they're doing. They're planning on pushing the characters that nobody likes, and like, prime example, the new Captain Marvel movie. Everyone's already just like, nope, we're good. We're not going to watch that. We don't need to be watching Carl Manvers. It's, and that's the thing. They're focusing on the characters now. Like, I'm sorry, unpopular opinion time. I thought Homecoming was like, if I wanted to watch 2 hours of cringe, I'm sorry, I'd videotape myself and watch it. I'm just saying. Which I kind of do.
You got self-referential right there, but yeah. It's going to beat yourself up over there.
I never did watch.
Yeah, I love that movie because. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
That's it. I was just saying I haven't watched it.
The only reason I love Homecoming, as opposed to the previous Spider-Man dude, I already forgot his name. The amazing actor, whatever his name is.
Michael Keaton. Everybody says Michael Keaton. It's gonna be Michael Keaton.
Yeah, no. The previous one, like the previous two.
Andrew Garfield.
Amazing Spider-Man. Yeah. There you go. That guy. Sorry, I really enjoyed it because I'm a huge fan of Michael Bendis' Ultimate Spider-Man storyline. So it had a lot of those elements. Although there was a lot of like, I don't know why they changed Flash Thompson. A lot of things that they did like made no sense in Homecoming. But overall, I enjoyed that movie. And I'm excited for the sequel, but I understand that people don't like it, and
Well, like, my whole thought on Homecoming, like, it's funny that I think Larry mentioned Michael Keaton. Like, I'm sorry, Michael Keaton couldn't save that movie. Michael Keaton was an amazing Vulture. I liked his character. Couldn't save that movie for me. And a lot of the things that they just, I'm sorry, but. They could have done so much better with that movie. They could have cut out the cringe. They could have just had him, like, I'm sorry, I'm watching this because I want to watch a Spider-Man movie, not Peter Parker. If that makes sense. I've seen plenty of Peter Parker in the previous movie. And so I'm like...
Yeah, this is not Spider-Man 3, man. That's a masterpiece of a film.
Honestly, I would rewatch Spider-Man 3 over Homecoming any day.
Oh, man. I understand. It's all good.
But, you know, the point I'm making is the Marvel has been if I remember right, they were the recent press announcement where they're like, we're going to be pushing the diverse characters, and it's like, no one likes these characters except the SJWs. And guess what? SJWs don't buy comic books. I'm sorry, they don't. Like, I have an SJW buddy, and when he had the money, I give him credit. He would buy Miss Marvel. But that was the only one he bought, was Miss Marvel. He didn't buy Miles Morales. He didn't buy Carl Manvers. He didn't buy any of the other SJW titles. He just bought Miss Marvel. And, like, to me, Miss Marvel was the only actual, like, kind of doable passing of the mantle where, you know, Carol Danvers started going by Captain Marvel and Miss Marvel became her protege. I was fine with that. All the extra identity things that was added in, I was just like, okay, so you're taking something that could be really good and turning it into something that's just pure identitarianism. Off my soapbox.
At least it wasn't that. What is it called? Totally Awesome Hulk.
Yeah, Amadeus Cho.
Yeah, talk about cringe,
bro.
That's
we had a question from the chat actually, and I'm pretty sure at least some of you guys have read this. Edward Brewer was asking if anyone has read the Injustice versus Masters of the Universe comic.
And yes, I have. It was amazing.
Yeah,
it was
pretty
beautifully
good.
illustrated.
I'm just going to change to my computer in a second.
Sure.
Okay.
So what did you think about it?
Yeah, it was beautifully illustrated, well done, and it's apparently in continuity with the Masters Universe Thundercats comic, which came out previously. And it's I have not read any of the more recent Injustice comics, but if you've played through Injustice 2, the Superman ending, not just the Batman ending, but the Superman ending as well, it picks up from there, and it's really well done. It's Freddie Williams II who did who unfortunately he did that the Green Team, that Gail Simone, like the Capitalist comic, whatever they did years ago. But he also may be known for the Batman Ninja Turtles comics. There was two series that, or Red Letter Media. If you're a fan of Red Letter Media, he's been on Best of the Worst a couple of times.
Oh yeah, I do remember that.
And his art is great. It kind of looks like action figures that come to life, but not in a stiff way, because they colored his pencils. But his pencils make it look like it looks like it's watercolor the way it's done. Like if you were to do like pencil outlines and then use watercolors over top, that's what it looks like, and it works out great. So very fun comic. It's 6 issues, and I'm getting all 6. So yes, very good, very good.
Okay. Sorry, I just changed to my computer.
Okay.
Okay, so what were we talking about? Sorry.
Oh, you sound like you're like 15 feet away.
Oh, can you hear me now?
We can hear you, but I can hear you, but you sound like very distant from your mic.
It's pretty
Who's
quiet.
Who's next on the lovely graphic novels? Or runs, whatever.
I think Hard Copy was going to talk about the Injustice.
He already talked about DC, the Batman book, the Batman Golden Age book.
Yeah, it was brilliant.
Yeah, I think Bob is next, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Or whoever.
Okay.
I was just gonna say my third graphic novel, like one of my favorites, is X-Men: Age of Apocalypse. Just because of the way the story was done, I like how they went through and like had Apocalypse taken over the world because Charles Xavier was not alive. You know how the world would have turned out, and just everything, including the climax where it's like you see Magneto rip all the iron out of Apocalypse's body. It's just it's just a good book.
Wish I could get hold of that. It's bloody expensive. I got most of the comics,
Yeah, I have both omnibus, the actual Age of Apocalypse, and then the other one that collects like the companion tie-ins or whatever. I only read some of it, but I heard it's not as it's way better than Onslaught. But yeah, I can't wait to read it.
I
Excellent.
actually have the old gold cover.
Oh, that's
graphic
cool.
novel.
That's cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, the gold deluxe edition. Like, it was well worth it. I'm actually seeing if I can't find you one that's not overly priced, and then I'll put the link in chat.
Okay, cool. Well,
'Cause
it's got it on Book
He's so nice.
Depository, but it's only got the new ones because there's a new Age of Apocalypse they did down the line or something. I don't know.
The
what
New
it
Age
was
of
about.
Apocalypse was written by Akira Yoshida, aka CB Cebulski. So yeah, you can avoid it. It's not necessary. It's not bad, but it's nowhere near as good. It's like, hey, let's go back to the well. Why? Because we can. But the original Age of Apocalypse, I remember picking that up because I was only going to pick some of the issues up. I had to get the gold covers because the Weapon X one, the Weapon X book, the Larry Hama, Andy Kubert.
Adam. Was it, no, it was Adam.
Adam Kubert.
Adam, I know.
But when they did that, and you see that cover with Wolverine falling through the atmosphere on fire, and like the flesh is like boiling off of him, and he comes down, he's bald, and he's like over like a couple pages, you see his like skin reforming. Like, it's like, oh my god, that's great. That's good.
Yeah.
You don't see something like that again until the X-Men Origins Wolverine video game. But to see like this book, this world where everything, like one person dies, everything gets screwed up. It was so well done. And if no Days of Future Past, Days of Future Past inspired Age of Apocalypse. Age of Apocalypse inspired that Flashpoint paradox. The Flashpoint the series because it had to. Because like, oh wow, if Barry Allen saves his mother, the world's all messed up. Like. The Atlanteans and Amazons are going to go to war. Europe is underwater. There's no Green Lantern.
Yeah.
Well, a really good story, but nowhere near as good as Age of Apocalypse.
And then you have Kingdom Come, who inspired Civil War, which was much shittier.
Oh God, Civil War.
Yeah, I like Mark Miller. I love Mark Miller and Steve McNiven, but damn, that story is horrible.
Especially how they made it out like Tony Stark was like people actually agreed with Tony Stark. What do you know you're talking about? He said villains after Spider-Man, villains who kill.
And I know this is going to be some heat, but when they because he's a foreigner, because Mark Miller is not American, and that how do they stop Captain America from beating the living crap out of Iron Man, who deserved it? The 9/11 heroes, the firefighters, paramedics, and police stopped. Look what you've done to New York. I'm like, bitch, it could have been flooded. Magneto completely destroys this place every couple months. The aliens come down and vaporize buildings. There's a couple of overturned cars and some fires. Give me a fucking break. Come on now. This is like this guy he's a fascist. He's did the story end up that mother of that child? Did that turn out to be Loki or somebody manipulating? No, it's just story ends. Iron Man's the head of S.H.I.E.L.D. Then Captain America dies in this book. No real resolution.
I thought she was a Skrull. I thought the whole Civil War, because it led into the Skrull, the whole Skrull thing. I thought she was a Skrull manipulating Tony Stark and all that. That's what I thought. That's
to reveal that, to not reveal in that issue, like that kind of thing, not to reveal in that miniseries, the fact that you people tore, like, how great would it be, like the villain be like, you people tore yourselves apart because of, you let, one person tear you people apart. You don't stop and think about the consequences of your actions, like that kind of stuff. That would have been like a really cool, like, reflective moment. It's like, damn, yeah, we did. It's like, the line of villain and hero can be very thin at times, and that would have been a good aspect of the story. And they were kind of going for that, but they failed so hard. It's just a mess. The best thing about it though is when the Punisher, because the heroes like the anti registration group with Captain America and them. And so Punisher's there, and there's some villains too, and Punisher just uses his excuse to kill the villains. What are you doing? It's like, they're criminals. What do you expect? It's like the scorpion and the frog. I'm a scorpion. What do you expect me to do? Not sting him?
Yeah.
Well, but my whole thought with the Civil War is it also gave us a Superhero Registration Act, which no one liked. Like, what the hell was Marvel thinking? It's like, oh, at the end of this, there's still a Superhero Registration Act.
Yeah. And they carried over to like Dark Avengers and all that.
Which
after Secret Invasion 2 is stupid.
Didn't they at least be smart enough to write it around, basically write it to where the Superhero Registration Act bit them in the ass? I can't remember.
I know Thor handed Iron Man his ass, which was the best, most cathartic thing I've ever read in comic books. It was so freaking sweet.
Yeah.
The downside is that Civil War gave us the Spider-Man unmasking, and then the that horrible spider armor, and then the One More Day, Brand New Day, all that crap. So we can thank Civil War for that. But Superhero Registration Act is actually a Alan Moore concept from the Captain Britain comics. That was like the British, the British Marvel UK stuff. They just like, hey, I like this idea because you know Mark Miller being reading those comics as a kid. So
that does sound like an Alan Moore idea.
I got that in my collection, that big ass part work collection, Marvel. I didn't even know it existed until I got it, along with that Ghost Rider. Actually, that's some of my favorite trade paperbacks. Was that Marvel collection? I discovered that Ghost Rider, The Damned, the one where he actually goes to hell, which was brilliant. That Captain Britain series, just a lot of stuff that I've never heard of and never read before. And then also got the Kevin Smith Daredevil. So you got to take your good with your bad, I guess.
Well, that's a turd on your shelf.
BRB. Be right back.
Oh, yep.
Well, I have another book. I have a book of my own. If you don't mind me kind of jumping out of order.
That's fine.
All right, the book I have, the one, and it kind of made me think of this because of Mark Miller, and because I had it on my list, but I moved it up my list. It would be Superman Red Sun.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I like that.
Oh, it's a great book. It's like one of those. The concept apparently he had to say. He said he had this idea when he was a kid. Like, what if Superman was a communist or something? Like Superman was evil, and kind of grew up with the wrong influence. And the idea that all it took was like he's still good from a certain perspective. It's like the Star Wars thing. What I told you was the truth from a certain point of view. It's like it's this idea of the man of iron, and Lex Luthor being kind of the hero of the story, even though and that like the ending, the kind of the Twilight Zone kind of twist ending, I kind of loved a lot, even though it kind of creeped me out. It's like, hey, how's it going, babe? It was like, with the reveal that Kal-El, because the original Golden Age Superman, his name was Kal-El, the letter L, not E-L. And so in this, it's like the Golden Age Superman, so the L stands for Luthor. So he's like Superman is a great grandson of Lex Luthor, like times like a million. And so he goes back in time, so like him kind of flirting with Lois Lane's kind of Back to the Future. It's like kissing my mom or whatever. It's like my mom's got the hots for me, and not knowing it. And then the way they treated Brainiac, the way they did everything else, the Green Lantern Corps, which is like it's all twisted. It's a dark universe. It's a very twisted. Things are very wrong here, but it's really fun. Like that and the Nail, JLA, the Nail is like two of my favorite alternate like what if Elseworld stuff. Where if you've never read has anybody read The Nail or Superman Red Sun?
I
bought the.
I want to read Superman Red Sun. I just haven't read it yet.
I recently bought The Nail, the one that includes like both stories by Alan Davis.
Mm-hmm.
But I gotta get to it. I really enjoyed Red Sun for sure.
Well, yeah, The Nail is the Nail, and I didn't dislike the sequel, but the first JLA The Nail is great. But yeah, these stories are great. Elseworlds is one of the best things DC ever did. It's like their answer to the what if books. But
I wish they
now
were good.
And now And now they're calling it Black Label. Elseworlds, whatever.
I've never seen
Yeah,
that.
they should have
see.
just kept it at Elseworlds.
Yeah, they're just weirdos.
Yeah, this is the second part of Golden Age, Batman Golden Age. Just looking on Book Depository. So much pretty things.
I figured if we were talking about Mark Millar, Red Sun would come up.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of it. I watched that motion comic. It wasn't that bad. I kind of wish we get actually an official movie. But, you know, there'd be people saying, DC's promoting communism. You know, they get all upset.
Remember the
Feels like
rumors
it's
when there was
wrong.
supposed to be a live action Red Sun, whatever?
I thought they were
Or is
doing
that
an
still,
animated
like-
movie.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't know anymore with DC.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't heard anything about a Red Sun movie.
Yes, hello, buddy.
Oh, well, what do you expect with DC? I mean, DC. Just trying to trigger DC, that's all.
Yeah.
They're giving us a rehash of the Death of Superman crap. Give me a Red Sun Superman. All right? How about give me that? You know?
Just go all the way and do
Yeah.
an Overman movie.
The Ubermensch, yes.
Overman.
You know what? Two
and
competing
Overman.
films. Like the JLA Earth, what a JLA Earth X, which is the like the Nazi controlled like freedom fighters fighting evil, you know, like Nazis or whatever. Like that'd be
Yeah.
interesting. But
Well, that was the multiversity thing that Grant Morrison wrote, right? Because that
well, I
was
think
one
it
of
was
my
before
favorite
that too. Though.
stories.
It was before
Oh,
that. I
was
think it was like a pre-crisis. I think that was called Earth
Yeah.
X,
Mhm.
and then I forgot the Earth for Captain Carrot and Zoo Crew, but yeah, like you had a lot of
Like
weird
Earth
stuff. going on.
S.
I think
was it
so,
Earth
yeah.
S, the
I think that was
Fawcett
Earth
one.
S. Yeah.
Earth S
that-
has got Shazam and those guys.
What is the best Justice League graphic trade paperback collection?
I like the Lightning Saga a lot.
The Brad
Oh, that was-
Meltzer.
Yeah, the Brad Meltzer Justice League, and then it's a crossover with JSA, the JLA, and the Legion of Superheroes. So I thought that I liked it a lot.
I like when in the
Scott.
90s, Grant Morrison was like, man, why does the Justice League suck ass? And then he wrote one of the best Justice League runs ever. Along with Mark Waid and all of them.
I think
stuff.
the 52 was a good run. You know, the 52, not the new 52, the old one.
Yeah,
With Grant
52.
Morrison. Yeah, is it just
Yeah,
called
that was
52?
No, the 52, the weekly series 52.
Yeah, that was
Yeah, it's just called
brilliant.
52.
Yeah.
yeah, it was pretty sexy, no doubt.
I
Mm.
actually liked the way they did the new 52, like the trade paperback, because I got the one that came with the Blu-ray DVD for the Justice League.
The Jeff
animated
Johns,
Yes.
Jim
I-
Lee.
Yeah.
I didn't see
I like-
that.
It was
I
a
have that
Best
run.
Buy deal. I saw it at Best Buy because they had the original Death of Superman, and they had the Death of Superman comic. They had the Justice League, New 52 Justice League, and then they had the movie. They had the first Aquaman trade in the Aquaman King Throne of Atlantis. The Wonder
Yeah.
Woman, which actually they used a George Perez Wonder Woman, the Gods of Olympus or whatever, and then the
Oh,
Wonder
wow.
Woman movie that Gail Simone wrote. But you know, Best Buy, like for like $20, it's like you get $20, you get the graphic novel, and then you get the DVD or Blu-ray. I think it was DVD. But,
it was
that's-
Blu-ray DVD
Why
combo.
do comics always get? Why do Americans always get the good stuff? Bloody hell! I never heard of
Easier
this
to
stuff.
ship.
That's a good deal.
It's a lot easier to ship within the continental U.S. That's the only reason.
Mm, we're gonna have to move.
Well, like for me, I thought that was well done because of the simple fact that it was. For me, I like Superman being kind of dickish because it makes sense. You know, he was in, you know, even in canon, like normal canon before the New 52, he was a football star. He was all this and the other, you know, back in school in Smallville and everything. It strikes me that he'd be a little bit dickish. So I liked that about the New 52 Superman.
I like how I like how passive aggressive Superman can be, especially when it comes to Lois Lane. Whenever somebody's like when he first, before he got together with her, she would be like, you know, like Bruce Wayne or whatever, and he gets you so passive aggressive. Sometimes, I mean, in the animated series, there was like a crossover with Superman and Batman.
I was actually going to reference that the World's Finest episode where he's like, any luck on the clown, and Bruce Wayne's like 3 nights, nothing yet, and he's like, well, you have been splitting your time.
See, there you go. But no, he's just he acts like a complete, he acts passive aggressive when it comes to Lois. Well, it comes to Batman in general, or his rivals, like especially Captain Marvel. In that episode of Justice League Unlimited, when he first meets, he goes, and he's like, everybody loves Captain Marvel, and he's like, well, he's, what does he say again? He's bright or something like that, because the way Captain Marvel acts was what Superman used to act like, you know, all full of positivity and all that stuff.
Oh, that fight in that episode.
They pulled the Kingdom Come, Shazam, Shazam, just like lightning, like that was great. Weaponizing the lightning, that was, you know what? I'll give Wade and Ross that credit. I don't think it was done previously to that, like weaponizing the lightning.
Well,
in that regard.
Well, one of Superman's weaknesses is magic, so it only makes sense that he would be like, Shazam would use that to his advantage because his powers are entirely based in magic.
They even hint at it too in that, because Wonder Woman's sword cuts Superman's fingertip, and she's like, "You've always been vulnerable to magic." Earlier,
well, even if it ain't magic, even if the lightning wasn't magic, it's still lightning, and lightning will mess you up. It's like, oh yeah, it kills most people. It's like even Kryptonians, like, oh yeah, solar rays, you know, charge you up and make you strong. Oh, that's great. Here's some lightning here's some lightning for thought. Right to lightning, Soups. Right to lightning.
But at the same
time, he
time,
tanked a nuke, so he'll probably be all right.
Yeah, and on top of that, wasn't there an old DC cover where Superman's getting struck by lightning and he's just like, yeah, this ain't doing nothing to me?
But if it's Silver Age, it doesn't count.
Yeah, Silver Age doesn't count. No, he's done everything in that Silver Age series.
Well, which, may I say, when the Rebirth, bringing back the Silver Age Superman, like, to me, was the best idea they ever had, because the Silver Age Superman was, you can't help but like the guy, because he was like, like Chris Evans said about Captain America, he was good for the sake of being good.
But he was very dumb. Oh, I'm gonna land on a grenade. Throw it away, you dummy, or kick it. You don't. I'm gonna die for a stupid reason. I'm like, yep, perfect tool for the American war machine.
Well, that's kind of it was supposed to be symbolic, okay, within the movie. But I understand what you're saying. This is that he will give his life for his other friends. It didn't say he was smart. It was just he'll give his life for
if he was smart, that dickhead from the Captain America movie, I would have grabbed him and put him on it and laid on top of him.
Well, they show that he's smart because he gets the flag down from the flagpole, right? None of the other soldiers figured that out.
He's like solving problems where it's not life or death. Yeah, good on him. But when like, here's this douche, throw him on top of the grenade and save everybody. You frag one of your, like, this guy's clearly a coward. He's like, ingenious. I'm just doing what the government does. Throw people in problems.
But the whole point there, and one, before I continue, may I say Stanley Tucci was an excellent choice for Erskine. And two, it was to show that it was Earth's, basically when Tommy Lee Jones went and threw that grenade out and was like, grenade! It was to show that Steve Rogers is he has just a pure heart and will lay his life down for others, not just his friends, but for anyone. And that's why he was...
Except Nazis.
Yes, except Nazis. But
that's dumb. Your life is precious, and unlike comic books, you only get one. The idea, like, oh, I'll die for other douchebags. No way. That's why you never want to give me superpowers. If I ever got superpowers, you all are so screwed. The
I'd just
birth
be-
of a supervillain.
I'll just do a Wonder Woman thing and be snapping necks.
There you go.
No, I'd be a Kira. I'd just like go and get some like drape myself around with some red cloth. A tank fires a cannon shell at me. I'm like, sorry, son, that ain't gonna work.
And I have that music. Da dum.
And I want parades of people just like carrying signs saying Larry, and I'm like, can you actually show my face and not the walrus, please, please? Change my avatar, damn it! Show.
Just,
My bad.
yeah, everyone thinks you're Wilfred Brimley. They all have signs of Wilfred Brimley.
Yeah, exactly. Like Wilfred Brimley is like worship. Like,
Look
no,
like
He's the one that he shows up and gets
Roosevelt.
the award.
I thought you were Roosevelt.
And wait,
Oh,
oh my god! See,
so basically, you would be dictator Superman that they showed BVS.
I would be more akin to.
He'd
Dr.
be Overman.
I'd be Dr. Doom from 2099. Still a dictator, but not that bad. Not as bad as the situation around it.
Well,
Not too bad.
the funny thing is, though, is even the Wakandan Panther god stated that the only way the world would survive is if Doctor Doom conquered the world. He was the only one that would have the fortitude to do what's needed in order for the world.
Well, it needed to be done at that point. I mean, I'd probably, and to call me like Uberman and everything. Yes, you're going to try to call me a Nazi. I see how you're doing. See, the first sign of a weak mind, it just goes straight to Nazi.
I
Saying,
didn't call you a Nazi. I said
no, DC
No.
did. He's like, call me Uberman.
Overman.
Overman, which is a Nazi.
Yeah,
I
he's
would be
the
a ruler, but I'd be only a ruler in name only. Like I let like free market and that, but I expect like freaking fresh fruit and hot women all the time. And but the rest you can just like rule the planet.
Conan the
normally.
Barbarian, are you? Or is that you?
Yeah. That's it. I just like what free market? No, you deal with that. I'm just like lazing here, having some fruit with some hot women. Don't let my girlfriend hear that.
am I the only one that, if given superpowers, would literally try to be the proper superhero?
Probably.
Yes.
But here's the thing: no, like nothing, like nothing stays good forever. You know? No, but seriously, my thing is like one of my first things to do if I had superpowers, I'd actually get us into space. I'd build a space elevator. Like I'd have like astronauts getting like Connex boxes, and then like lift it with in their space suits and lift them into space, and so they don't have to. Why would you need rockets when I can just do the lifting myself? I'm like, all right, give me like 15 minutes. I'll be right back. I'll lift the next load into space, and there you go. Like, have like moon bases and Mars bases, and get us outside of just the Earth.
That'd
and
be
like,
cool.
you know what? Larry's not so bad, but he's not vaporizing people with his eyes.
I just realized my plan doesn't actually need superpowers. I just need to
money.
be in power.
Just need money to be Conan.
Just
Like,
be Bruce or Bruce Wayne would work.
Hot
there
copy
you go.
with his best in life. Crush your enemies, see them driven before you, eat the fresh fruit, and hear the lamentations of the women.
Something like that. And maybe some PlayStation 4.
Gotta have that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, PC for life.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
my PC.
PC
Actually don't
mustard
have a
race.
console.
It's the PC mustard race.
No.
It's the Dark Knight 3 Master Race.
Yep.
That was the worst comic, though. You know what, though? There was actually a really good story in there. It was Hal Jordan. He became a god, and he left Earth, and he was basically a being of willpower at that point. And he had a family and a kid, and then he realized the Earth is in trouble because the Kryptonians from Kandor were like, "Oh, we finally got the people of Kandor out," but it turned out to be all like radicalized, like basically like you say like radicalized Islamists. Like I think like Kryptonian.
Part of the new Krypton story, also.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Supergirl's
apparently-
mom takes over, becomes radical, and kills her dad.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they have a
Let's
whole
see.
war between the Supermen. You know, that whole thing was manipulated, though, by like Lex Luthor and stuff. Like he unleashed a bunch of Doomsday clones and got everyone to fight between the humans and the Kryptonians.
All right, that's pretty cool. What's this called?
New Krypton?
Oh, okay. Is
New
that the?
Superman.
That's not T. Oh, it's the new Superman. Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, so it came out about 10 years ago now.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll have to look
Late
it up.
2000s. Yeah, it's real good. It's got good
They
art.
dropped the ball on one thing. They never really had touched upon Atlas. Remember, it's the Jack Kirby character, Atlas.
Yeah.
He shows up a few times, but they really like. I'm like, that's a great character. He's kind of in All-Star Superman a bit.
Oh
but,
man, they're clowning on him with Lois.
I love that. See, that's what I mean about Superman being passive aggressive when it comes to Lois. Because in that, he was being really passive aggressive towards them, and in the end, he beat them.
Atlas and Samson. Yeah.
Well, they were being total dicks, really, and Lois.
Dude bros. There were dude bros to Lois. Hey woman, why don't you come with a real man? Flesh and blood.
Here's the shiny necklace that I stole from Ultra Sphinx. Oh wait, here he is. Like, oh wait, Lois is now suspended between life and death. Great, good job, guys. Atlas does show up though in like Action Comics in the like 900s issues.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like around the the New Krypton around that time.
Yeah. There's Alex Ross cover with he's got Superman like held up in the air.
But there's not much else other than that. That's the problem. Like they didn't really explain. Like, wow, they're actually using the character, and no, they're not. It's like one of those deals. But it's with the one of the other books I was thinking of, and it is a DC I mentioned earlier. Was New Frontier, which that's just really well done. Like even though like I said, it's it wouldn't. It's like a kind of reboot remake of Golden Age, JSA the Golden Age, because it's it's you focus on Hal Jordan, you focus on Flash a bit, and your Martian Manhunter, but like you only get like a little bit with Superman and Wonder Woman. Like you get some interesting bits, but that they're not the big focus. It's usually mainly.
He gets his butt kicked immediately straight at the beginning of the fight with that big planet thing.
Yeah, they punk him out. Yeah, they punk him out so the other heroes can rise up. That's why JSA the Golden Age is better, because there's no Superman, no Wonder Woman, no Batman in it. It's just a bunch of like rando Golden Age heroes like John Law and these really like Robot Man. The strongest person to show up is
Robot
Captain
Man
Comet.
Is from the Captain Comet dies in Kingdom Come.
Oh yeah, they that was an unfortunate way of him going out.
I know all the prisoners kill him. They're just like, they killed Captain Comet. We need help. Meanwhile,
why is he even there? He's supposed to be in space. Like that always irked me. Like why? Like I understand that Scott and Barta made Earth home, but like it's just so odd. Like why would these Apocalyptians just be hanging around Earth that much? I'm like, yeah, I'm getting out of here. This is a little too.
The Superman went to Orion and was talking on Apocalypse. Didn't he recruit some more people from there?
Well, the Batwoman from Apocalypse, or from the Batwoman of Apocalypse. She's just in the background, but it's alluded to, but you don't really. She's like it's not. You can't even say supporting. It's just like a.
So that's what Batman was doing on Apocalypse that time. Oh, bit of granny goodness, eh?
Yeah,
well, it's more like it's like fangirl. She's like an apocalyptian fangirl of Batman. So,
at least he could get with one of the Furies. I mean, granny goodness, man, he could do better than that. Come on. If anything, granny goodness probably was the dominant one there.
Granny goodness is going to milk his prostate.
No, took it too far. Always take that too far.
Oh my god! Well, guys, I hate to do this, but it's 1:24 a.m. here. Normally, I got to take care of some things in just a few hours, so I got to get a little bit of sleep.
No, that's fine.
All right, well, you guys take care. This has been fun, very interesting at the very least. So you guys take care, and I'll see you around. All right.
We'll see you later.
All right.
All right. Take care now.
Bye.
Bye.
I was actually about to dip out myself.
Okay, might just be a good time to wrap it up then. We made it over three and a half hours.
All these wusses going to sleep. Oh, look at us.
Can I mention a few more titles or nah? Is it too late?
You can just shout them out if you want.
Yeah, the remaining ones on my list were Superman Secret Origin by Jeff Johnson and Gary Frank. I also added Aquaman, the entire Jeff Johns run.
Okay.
I wanted to talk about Batman by Grant Morrison. Also, I really enjoyed Batman by Jeff Loeb, his Long Halloween, Dark Victory, and Hush.
Nice.
And also, I wanted to discuss a little bit about Swamp Thing by Lin Wayne and Bernie Wrightson. And yeah, there's a whole lot of other. I was gonna also do like honorable mentions, but if there's ever another live stream about how we discuss other, more of our favorite books or whatever, I love to come back, and join you all.
Yeah. We'll definitely have you on again. That was a lot of fun. So I guess we'll have you guys on again. And that's all for now. Thanks, everybody, for watching.
Thanks, man.
Thanks,
Sorry.